Everything is bigger in Texas, including the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing. Join us here on Racesport TV, on iRacing Live, Motor Racing Network and Fans Choice TV in just a few moments' time.
No time wasted, getting to the loud pedal. Green flag flies from Fontana's Auto Club Speedway Round 4. The 2016 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series underway, and it's all biased to turn number 1. Ray Alfalla, P2. Caution flag will fly behind.
Timmy Hill,
Problems
number
in
4
turn
car.
number 2, and it's the number 4 Toyota of Timmy Hill. Green flag waves yet again. Back and away we go. That one machine held them all the way to the exit of the restart box before he went to check. A lot of guys been back up, and there's Gala. Something happened on Dylan Rafferty's 46 Ford. That car just would not turn down in turn 1. Got up into the outside wall, bounced back down into 2x2 lanes of traffic, and it was big junk. And green flag flies. Back and away we go, and immediately to the bumper goes the 27, Cody Bias. He looks high, he'll take a peek to the inside, won't be able to make a move quite yet, and here comes Ray Alfalla. Fresh tires, teaming up on these guys at the front of the field. 3 wide, almost with Gilliland taking a peek to the inside, and out on the back straightaway you'll see Bias get that run. He slots up in line in front of Hurst, and behind would have Ensign. To the inside he goes, and side by side for the race lead.
In front, Ray Alfalla papering back bumper of the 27 of Cody Bias, looks to the inside, going down into corner number 3, and he'll take the lead away from the 27. Here comes PJ Sturgis, going to try to do the same for position number 2, and now Cody Bias will run in 3rd.
Alfalla has opened up, though, the biggest gap we've seen from a race leader tonight at 4/10 of a second. Back to PJ Sturgis, back to Cody Bias.
PJ Sturgis, though, losing quite a lot here as Nick Furler, a lap car, has to be coming out of the pit lane. Blake Bryant, though, is a lap car on the very much outside. PJ Sturgis got way held up there, and he is going to lose quite a bit of time off of Cody Bias. I have to say here, just throughout this whole pit cycle, what a good call from Ray Alfalla to come in when he did. He managed to hit everything.
So Ray Alfalla did a good job because he kicked off the cycle of green flag pit stops for your guys inside the top 10. The guys on top of the box, on top of the spotter stand, keeping an eye. Started to see some people outside of the top 10 trickle down. They said, let's get this thing rolling. They came down to the pit lane. So kudos to them for being on top of the strategy, but as well for Ray for making it clean in and clean out. That also attributed to why he sits 1.7 seconds in front of Dylan Duval. Good battle for second that has Dylan Duval P2, Cody Bias in 3rd, and BJ Sturgis just behind in 4th. Chris Oakland right now rounds out the top 5. They're going to come down to pit road to round out our midway race break. Everybody else 30th on back. Going to be a couple of laps down. You got Gilliland, Furler, Laughlin, Bryant, and Schmidt.
Ray Alfalla is about to close in on it. David Rattler, they're not that far behind. Perhaps the entirety of the front straight here at Auto Club Speedway separates the two between Ray Alfalla and David Rattler.
So this thing is far from over. Ray Alfalla, though, wants to see this thing run out completely green.
David Rattler, well, you just try and focus on your laps. Don't overdrive the car, don't overdrive the tires. Just focus on your laps, and we'll see how it goes.
Yes, David Rattler is likely going to lose the lead here in a couple laps as Ray Alfalla continues to march towards the 09. But PJ Sturgis and Kenny Humpy are also making that march. Question is, can they make up enough time to catch up to David Rattler and try to take second place away?
The 2 Ford, he gets to the back bumper in turn number 3, winds it up, he'll look to the inside, will go side by side for the race lead at lap number 112, and 2-time takes it away, Ray Alfalla to the point. And Humpy just put that move on Ottinger a couple of laps ago. They work it with that 57, but Sturgis as well. They might catch the 57 as they catch Rattler. I don't think Rattler is going to be able to hang on to P2.
It's Jake Sturgis chasing down Chris Overland for position number 7. And what a run Sturgis gets out of corner number 4. They're going to have a lap car here. Oh, it gets close as they go by the lap car on the outside. Sturgis still going to have the run on the inside of Overland. They drive it down into corner number 1. And this, the battle for 7th, looks like it's going to go to Jake Sturgis. Slides up the racetrack a little bit. Overland giving him just enough room on the inside. They continue to battle side by side. Overland and Sturgis continuing to go at gunning it for this spot. Entertaining battle for 7th. They come off the corner. Sturgis might have it here, but Overland continues to fight back on the outside.
It'll be Sturgis up to P7, but for Ray Fowler up at the front of the field, we were talking about the championship standings. We said the highest running driver for the victory lane was him. He entered tonight second in the points. And a big change from what we saw just 1 week ago at Phoenix. It was PJ Sturgis picking up his first career win, and this time by the driver with the most wins in NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series history. Going to take home checkered flag 18. Ray Fowler winner in Fontana.
Welcome race fans to round 5 of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing. We're here on iRacing Live, Motor Racing Network, Fans Choice TV, and of course Racesport TV, bringing you all the action tonight from Texas Motor Speedway here in Fort Worth, Texas. Rachel Whiteford joining you for the pre-race show alongside the likes of Cam Walsh, Evan Soko, and Tim Terry here up in the pre-race booth, bringing you all the action from the racing. And well, you just got a chance to watch last week's highlights from Auto Club. 2 weeks ago, in fact. That was an awesome race. We had some controversy and we had great racing action. Ray Fowler coming home with the victory there, of course. And guys, good evening, great to have you here. Looking forward to an exciting race at Texas, and from what we've seen this week, this is going to be a tough one. This car is quite loose here on the 24-degree banking at Texas.
It certainly is, and Texas is always a fun track. It's going to be the second intermediate racetrack we see on the 2016 schedule, but it's not very similar at all if you look back to the races that we've already seen this season at a place like Las Vegas. So I'm looking forward to it. It's fast. Turn 2 is going to be fun. Turn 4 might even be equally as fun tonight, but it's definitely a track that can test these drivers.
It certainly is, Evan. Of course, Texas Track Facts. This track is one of the average 1.5 miles. Everyone refers to them as cookie cutters, but they're far from the same. 24 degrees of banking, making this a very difficult track. Turn 1 and 2, so different to 3 and 4, as Evan just alluded to. The track, of course, opened on 29th of February, 1996, so not one of the youngest tracks, but not also one of the oldest. Kind of fits in the middle, but Texas certainly has its own charm, Tim. The circuit always brings us great racing.
And we've seen great racing all season long, and this race should be no exception. These drivers love Texas Motor Speedway. They get up on the wheel for these 1.5-mile racetracks. Going to be exciting to see who comes out into victory lane. You look at that past winners list, you have a who's who of NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series drivers. Ray Alfala is the only two-time winner here. Of course, Derek Wood, Nick Ottinger, Kevin King, and Chad Lawton. And Kevin King, Nick Ottinger, along with Ray, going to be in the field this evening, and they are going to put on a show. And at the start of the season, everybody is so close. We're a quarter of the way through the year, Rachel, and we have a tie for the point lead. Got 5 drivers starting to pull away from this thing as well. Only 4 races in, still a long way to go, but those 5, might want to watch them here this evening to see if they can do the Texas two-step.
Oh, they certainly will, and we'll be seeing who can sling those 6 shooters in the air after this race and call themselves a Texas winner. This package we've seen so far this season, it's been a huge change to the car. The low downforce package certainly making a big effect on the larger tracks. Phoenix, of course, a green flag race there. The car proving very difficult to handle for these guys in their first race in the new rules package, the low downforce. Texas, of course, this week's been interesting watching drivers in the service use the track, and of course, this banking, now they've got a car with much less downforce, side force is a much bigger thing here, and we could be seeing some guys getting aero loose and popped around when someone's alongside their quarter panel.
Well, absolutely, especially coming off of turn number 4, you've got the double dog leg in front of you, and that is going to be interesting to see here because it really kind of forces the cars in a single file up front. You can take it too wide, obviously, we'll see that a lot tonight, but it'll set you up for turn number 1 there. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how these cars tackle this track with this current package. I mean, you got to remember the last time this track was repaved was between 2001 and 2002. This is some old surface we're going to be running on here, so I have a feeling once we get the rubber starting to get laid down, wouldn't surprise me at all as if we see some issues going through that double dog leg, especially if we enter lap traffic.
Absolutely right, Cam. And well, it's time for those pre-race picks. Who are we going for in the field tonight? You were talking about a certain driver in the pre-show. Who's your money on tonight?
There's 2 drivers that hail from the state of Texas in this race, Adam Gilliland, and he's had a couple of rough races to start this season off, and I don't really want to throw the jinx on him because it seems like everybody that I've picked this season hasn't really done well. I'm sorry to say I'm picking Chris Overland tonight. I look back to Atlanta, the second race of the season. He finished in the top 3. He's 5th in the point standings. He's also the first driver in the point standings when you look down those championship leaders to not win a race. Chris Overland's going to step his game up tonight. I think you're going to see the 47 in victory lane.
Well, there you go. Tim Terry's going to jinx Chris Overland there, so look out, Chris. Cam, who's your money on?
Well, I'm going to be taking our last race winner, Ray Alfala here. That number 2 car looked very strong. I have a feeling we're going to have quite possibly 2-timer going one after the other here at Texas. I wouldn't be surprised, but you never know with a package like this on a track like this.
Great call for that one. And Evan, let's see if you've got someone different on your mind.
I'm not going to quite roll the dice. I have to agree with Cam and go with Ray Alfala. He picked up the NASCAR's checkered flag at Texas over the weekend, and he has 2 wins at this track. Both seasons in which he won here, he went on to win the championship. So I think he's got a pretty good shot coming into tonight, especially because he picked up his first win just 2 weeks ago. So he's got a lot of momentum in his favor.
He certainly does, and well, we've got, of course, the return of Logan Clampett this week. He'll be running. I believe he's qualified into the race, so he could, of course, be wanting to prove his worth in the series and get himself into victory lane. So it's Texas. We've got ourselves a real Western movie lineup. We've got the outsider, we've got the outlaw, and we've got the good guy, the sheriff. So let's see who can bring it home tonight with the result they want. Of course, points mean prizes here in the Peak Antifreeze series, powered by iRacing, and these guys all fighting for that championship, which every round we go is getting ever closer. So few rounds to go, and wow, let's get underway. Let's get the action going. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, but when we do get back, we will be passing on your race broadcast booth team. That is Evan Pasoko, Cam Walsh, and Tim Terry. You can catch me again after the race for the post-race show. See you then.
The road to $20,000 runs through Fort Worth, Texas's Texas Motor Speedway. This is round number 5 on the 2016 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing. Good evening, Sim Racing fans. My name is Evan Pasokwood alongside Cam Walsh and Tim Terry. We're happy to be topside in the Race Spot TV broadcast tower. Joined as always downstairs by Hugo Louise in the director's seat and Rachel Whiteford with us at the pre-race stage. We want to welcome all of you tuned in on iRacing Live, Fans Choice TV, and the Motor Racing Network. Through the opening 4 races of this 2016 campaign, Cam, we have seen 4 different winners. It might sound like it should be like this all the time, but it's actually quite unique that those 4 drivers sit right now 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the championship standings. So while the season is still young, there's still 12 races left until we crown a champion much later on in 2016. Those guys, they're all keeping each other honest at the top of the running order.
Oh, they absolutely are. We've seen not only that, but races that have developed so very different from one another. We had that, of course, green flag run at Phoenix. We've seen a couple of races split by some late race caution. We've seen last week we had early race cautions, and then it tried to go as green as far as possible. So hopefully we'll continue with these unique runs that we've been having here, and we'll see what Texas Motor Speedway can do for this cast and crew of NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series drivers. But I think at the very least, it is going to be an interesting race for sure, especially with that double dog leg up front.
167 laps in action tonight. 2 weeks ago, a very different challenge for these drivers, Tim, at Fontana. Ray Alfalla picked up his first win on the season. Sturgis backed up a win with the P2. Kenny Humpy, Alan Bose, David Rattler drivers had finished inside of the top 5. And while it seems like old news now, it is the first time we'll take this low downforce package to an intermediate racetrack. We saw Atlanta earlier on in the season. That race won by Jake Sturgis, and we come into this one of many still to come. 1.5 milers on the season. It's a track where historically we haven't seen one driver show any dominance. I noted that Ray Alfalla has 2 wins here during our pre-race show. Both of those wins coming in 2011 and 2012, where he went on to become the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series champion. Other than that, though, names like Ottinger, Lawton, and King have been able to find victory lane, so it's tough to pinpoint who may have the biggest upper hand.
And you mentioned Atlanta earlier in the season, albeit a different package. Those guys should be running up front. You have Jake Sturgis. Ray Alfalla finished second in that race. He qualified second. He's up at the front when it comes to the point standings. Chris Overland is always good at these 1.5-mile racetracks, so he has some work to do starting 30th. I talked to a lot of guys, and I asked who's the driver that could win this race. A lot of them came up with the Josh Berry name. He was 4th at Atlanta, and PJ Sturgis, of course, was 5th at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. So while the package has changed, I don't see a whole lot changing here at Texas, though you're probably going to see a few more drivers up near the front of the field. Justin Bolton whipped off a quick lap in qualifying. His teammate Cody Bias is going to start behind him on the running order. Those guys, Evan, seem to qualify well. They just can't seem to close the deal. When the pay window opens, they're not up there in the top 5. Maybe this is the race that changes that for the team.
The average start, average finish is always something fun to look at. No surprise your drivers inside of the top 5 bit of points all have an average finish inside of the top 10. Chris Overland, the one without a win, highest running in the points, P5, that's keeping up with those guys. Let's take a look at your championship. Through 4 races of competition, Sturgis at the top of the pile, 4 top 5s, and he's tied for the championship lead with Ray scored right now 3rd position. Right there, Jake Sturgis, and then Chris Overland 5th. You got Ottinger, Fayash, Mahar, Duval, and Humpy running out through the top 10. And another thing that I like to talk numbers, Cam. One thing I noticed about the names Nick Ottinger, Andrew Fayash, Brad Mahar, and Dylan Duval is they all run top 10 in the points. None of those drivers have been get to those guys. Some guys that might want to get that extra step and try to go from a top 10 to a able to finish inside of the top 5 yet this season. The top 10s, though, is where those numbers start to go up, and that side.
Well, absolutely, and I think Texas might be a little bit of a difficult track to start pushing into those top 5s, maybe even getting that all loose. You've got a pit lane that's pretty tricky to enter, a track that runs fairly good, but for the most part, though, I have to say, you never know. Someone could hook everything up today and have a good finish, maybe get a top 5, maybe even get up into the top 3. But as time goes on and these drivers are going in here at Texas, it's going to be interesting to see. I think in the next 20, 25 laps, we're going to see the real big pushers and movers here, and we can see who be coming away with the top 5 here.
The qualifying already to the books, just about 5 minutes till we get on the grid for tonight's Texas 250. Let's talk practice. Right now, the drivers working through their 15-minute warm-up session, and something that is really a big topic of conversation, Tim, into this week is Logan Clampitt to be making his NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series debut. Transferred in from the 2015-16 Pro Series, and now here, not more races. He's P1 right now in practice. He's somebody that's been itching and chomping at the bit to get on track, and he wants to make a statement. And right now, at least, it looks like he's got a pretty good race car.
First in practice, he back to be in this series, but those are quick laps by yourself. Whatever the case of this evening, we've seen a lot of these races go green or at least have an extended green flag run. You look at David Rattler 2 weeks ago. He finished in the top 5 and darn near won the race at Auto Club. We could see that happen again. I talked to some of the drivers and some of these teams and say, how do you run this race? And I got 3 different strategies from 3 different teams. So we'll see how this race plays out. See if we do have some of those quick cautions, have some at the end. You look down the list, though, in practice, pretty status quo. Some of the drivers that are running near the front of the field are up there. Casey Tucker's 5th on the running order. Good to see him, but he's going to have some work to do in 37th. Ray Alfala, Alan Bowes, Brad Mahar up there in the top 10 in practice times. And then Adam Gilliland's up there as well in position number 9. So Aftermath trying to make their way towards the front of the field because they've struggled a little bit at the start of the season.
And 2 names that I notice inside of the top 5 right now in practice, Brian Blackford and Casey Tucker, 4th and 5th on the board. They're going to be starting, though, 24th and 37th on the grid, Cam, and to the point that Tim made. There's guys that we see start up front that aren't able to close the job, but there's guys that have fast cars just qualifying. They can't seem to figure it out. The name that you look at inside the top 10, Andrew Fayash III, 7th in the championship with an average start of 32nd. These guys could help themselves out a lot if they could get a little bit better in the Q-Trip.
Well, absolutely, and some people are just naturally very good qualifiers, even though they don't necessarily have the best lap times. And some people do very, very good over a race run. I mean, we've seen Andrew Fayash, he has good runs. Casey Tucker's had some pretty good runs. Adam Gilliland's had some good runs too here, yet they're starting well back past the top 30, and that's just it's a killer time and time again here. It's if you're starting not only back behind all those cars, but you look at the actual distance between you and first car. That's a couple hundred feet. A couple hundred, 200-300 feet between you and first lead just before the race even starts. So as far as qualifying goes, you start having bad trips in the qualifying. Well, you got to sort out your pit strategy then to cure everything, and it's just what could have been if you can do a little bit better qualifying. I think it wouldn't surprise me to see if Andrew Fayash got in the top 10 again, but when you're starting 39th, it's just what could be if you were starting in the top 10 right off the start.
It most certainly will. They'll have plenty of time to try to sort it out. 167 laps, 250.5 miles, start to finish tonight at the Texas Motor Speedway. We talked about this racetrack, 24 degrees at a bank. It always provides some excitement. It's safe to say that it's going to be a little bit of a different race from what we saw at Atlanta at the only intermediate we've seen so far earlier on in the season. We've given you our picks. We want to know what you think we're going to see in tonight's Texas 250. You can tweet to us at RaceSpotTV using the hashtag NPAS Texas, that's NPAS Texas, or use the hashtag iRacing WCS. Stay in the conversation and let us know what you think that we're going to see here tonight at the Texas Motor Speedway. Warm-up session now drawing to a close. We're just about set to rock and roll. Tim, what makes Texas Motor Speedway different from any other intermediate racetrack that we're going to see on the season, and what could be maybe a key that somebody's going to have to focus on if they want to find a successful finish tonight, if not try to put themselves at a fight to fight for victory lane?
Be able to control your race car in traffic, be able to get that right strategy down. If we do have a lot of green flag racing to this event, there's a few keys that you're going to have to watch there, and I think the cautions, where they fall, what the pit strategy happens. We saw with David Rattler last week. We saw Ray Alfala play the strategy right, PJ Sturgis, those guys. I think that's the key, and obviously with this new downforce package, as you mentioned, first time on a mile and a half, it's going to... We'll see what happens here. This could be a very interesting race. These first couple laps, I think, are going to be a little bit antsy for some of these guys.
Going to be a full field, 43 strong, coming up next right here on Race Spot TV. And with that, the warm-up session officially draws to a close. We're going to have cars on track. Let's take a look at your Peak Antifreeze starting lineup for round number 5 of the 2016 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing. Pole position, well, he thinks he's got a fast car, so he didn't even bother putting down a time in practice. The number 36 of Justin Bolton, a 27.559, going to bring him across the start-finish line first tonight to bring us to the green flag. And Ray Alfalo, winner from 1 week ago, will start alongside him in P2. Cody Bias going to roll tonight from 3rd. That's the insider. Row number 2 outside in 4th position. You'll find the 10 of Corey Vincent, and PJ Sturgis in the 57 rounds out your top 5.
Starting in 6th position is Alan Bowes. Dylan Duval starting on his inside. Logan Clampett coming off from his little vacation. He will be starting in 8th position. Nick Ottinger in 9th. Josh Berry will be starting in 10th, the first of the front-running Peak Antifreeze cars.
You're going to look at position number 11 and see Matt Boosa in the number 34. Watch for him tonight. Nick Johnston in the number 90, going to start in position number 12. Patrick Crabtree, the 15, going to start 13th. Dylan Jones in 14th, and Kenny Humpy rounds out your top 15.
Joining him on the outside of row 8, P16, going to be Mitchell Hunt. Byron Daly, 17th. 18th is Brandon Schmidt. Brad Mahar in 19th. Rounding out your top 20 is Tyler Hudson.
Kevin King starting 21st. Nathan Wise, 22nd. Michael J. Johnson in 23rd. Brian Blackford starting in 24th. Tyler Martin will be starting on the inside in the 25th position.
Next up is Taylor Hurst in 26. Jake Sturgis starting deep in the field in 27th. The Silent Ninja Thomas Davis 28th. Blake Bryant and Chris Overland starting deep in the field in 30th.
Brad Davies 31st, 32nd Ryan Borges, Shane Doherty 33rd, 34th is Nick Furler, and 35th is Adam Gilliland.
The number 1 car of Trey Edson starting in 36th. Casey Tucker in 37th, though he's not, he's in the pits actually. Timmy Hill 38th. Andrew Fayesh starting in 39th, and Michael Conti starting all the way back in 40th position, also in the pits.
Rounding out your field, Alex Warren, Tyler Hill, and the 30 of Ryan Love.
So at least 2 cars in your 43-car field don't want anything to do with the drop of the initial green flag. We're excited to have you with us right here on Race Spot TV. It is round number 5 on the 2016 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing. The pace car going to make the sharp left-hand turn down and to the wayside. Pole sitter Justin Bolton. He'll take the green flag, and underway we go from the Texas Motor Speedway. Round number 5 to the works. It'll be go at it down to turn number 1 for the first time tonight. Bolton in front of Bias. He takes P2. He'll send Ray Alfalo back to 3rd. That battle comes out of turn number 2. Alfalo immediately back to the inside of the racetrack. Side by side they go, giving right back to 2-time.
Yeah, everyone just getting away right now, Evan. It seems like we got still some 2-wide action between Dylan Duval, Corey Vincent, Nick Ottinger, and Alan Bowes as they start by on the first, as Logan Clampett already looking to the inside in that 44 car. As you can see your pit cars exiting right now. They're on the inside line there. Right now Justin Bolton, Ray Alfalo, Cody Bias, and PJ Sturgis are your top 4 running cars here. Everything still seems to be going fairly simple, but whoever's on the outside seems to be falling back at a relatively rapid rate. Corey Vincent losing positions left and right here, Evan.
Inside the place to be early for sure. Alfalo did not like that Bias took P2 from him. He got it right back, and in fact, he'll trail Justin Bolton down to turn number 1, keeping him honest, not letting him get away. Everybody inside the top 8 or so have single filed out. First battle on the racetrack sees the 10 of Corey Vincent, somebody who started on the outside of the racetrack in P4, slotting backwards. He'll be able to stop the bleeding after Nicholas Johnson takes P10. That's 7 spots to the negative already for Vincent. He'll run 11 at 4.
And he's got some more hungry drivers behind him, so he's going to want to stay in line here. Matt Boosa, Mitchell Hunt, Brandon Schmidt among those. There's Tyler Hudson, former series champion, also in line. Looks like the 10 has found his footing right now in position number 11. Tries to set his sights on those guys in front of him. Single file, there goes the 27 and the 57. It's going to be PJ Sturgis around that number 27 to put him up into position number 3. And you better believe Ray Alfalo chomping at the bit behind the number 36 of Justin Bolton. Alfalo wants to pick up where he left off 2 weeks ago and try to get that lead. But right now, it's currently the 36 holding court up in front through 4 laps.
And that win 2 weeks ago at Fontana's Auto Club Speedway was a record 18th trip to victory lane for Ray Alfalla. He wants to lead early, though, because he doesn't just want to win the race. He wants to look at bonus points and maximize what he gets out of tonight, because, again, he's tied for the championship lead into round number 5. And an easy move on the inside. Alfalla waits just 5 laps to take over the race lead. At a double negative for the 36, they're bolted. He'll slide it back to third. PJ Sturgis right up the inside of the racetrack as well. Follows Ray Alfalla through. They go to P1 and P2 on the racetrack just as they sit in the championship standings.
Yeah, PJ Sturgis, a great start from him. He started 5th. He's only up to 2nd just like that in as many laps. He is moving up. So either way, looking back and back and back, though, I have to say Alan Bowes is looking already on the inside of Logan Clampett there, as that is a fight for position number 8, and, well, position number 7 even, excuse me, as right now Josh Berry looking onward. Logan will go down 1 lap here, but for the most part, though, it seems that the only thing to be working in is just getting that nose on the inside, forcing that car to go up a little bit, and that seems to be the easiest way to get it done here. Ray Alfalla, though, Evan, he's already pushing away. He's already got a 0.3 of a second lead after just 8 laps.
The clean air treats him well. He gets a little bit away from Sturgis and company. Everybody inside the top 10 now have single-filed things out. In fact, everybody inside of the top 20 have single-filed things out, if not the entire field. You'll find your occasional battle. Most of them shape it up when they come out of turn number 2. One deeper in the pack involves the 51 of Lachlan, and as well, looks like Thomas Davis going to the inside of the 51 Monster Energy Chevrolet. But other than that, everybody has single-filed themselves out, and they said, let's time to get going. Lap number 9 of 167 into the works, and trying to get a green flag atmosphere underway. One key thing is trying to find a spot in line, running a pack of 43 cars, which for many of these guys they haven't had an opportunity to do here yet at Texas. Some of them running some NIS stuff, of course, some private league stuff here at Texas over the past week. But once you get on track, you're going to have to figure out what your car's got versus some of the other guys and try to figure out where you belong in line and have to learn as the race goes on. But things calm at the moment in the opening 10 laps.
And you mentioned one word there, Evan, learning. A lot of these drivers right now getting single file, trying to learn this racetrack, learn what their race car has, and learn what these other drivers around them have, at least in the first 10 laps of this race. Nick Ottinger right now in position number 5. He's being chased by the 42 of Dylan Duval. Looks like Duval has been making some inroads in the Neben Photography number 42. As he comes up at a corner number 4, he'll come across the stripe this time and complete the 10th lap of this race. And Alan Bowes tagging along with this battle as well. Excited to see if this race does go green, how long these guys are going to go on fuel tires before they come down onto pit road. Heard a lot of teams saying around 40 laps. It could be a little bit less, it could be a little bit more. It's 167 laps. Evan, you can do the math. Some stints are going to be a little bit shorter than others, and some guys might take that shorter stint in the first half of the race and try to learn some things, or they might try it in the second half or even at the end to try to gain a little bit of time on the tires. So it's going to be exciting as this race goes on. But right now we are 12 laps into this thing, and it looks like up in front Ray Alfalla is starting to drive away a little bit from PJ Sturgis.
He's sitting comfortably in the number 1 spot. His gap has doubled from 0.3 to 6 since lap number 10, as he'll take lap number 12 the next time around the racetrack. And with that window being a variance between what you want to go on your tires and what you can do on your fuel, this race, if we go green, could end up very much so like a couple of races we've seen this season where we have a couple of different people trying varying strategies. And you hate to see a point where a yellow comes out mid-race and it messes with that. It's all part of the game, but if it goes green all the way through the end, it's always fun to see how those strategies work out to the end. And all these guys, they've got a plan now. The guys on top of the pit box, they know what they're shooting for. They've got a bunch of numbers listed out. If we go green all the way, it'll make the strategy somewhat easier for them. Once you get a couple of yellows mixed in there, if we see that tonight, that's when they have to start making those audible calls and adjusting their strategy. But right now, everybody minds their P's and Q's, clean and green at the Great American Speedway. The 2 drivers that started from the pit lane, Casey Tucker and Michael Conti. Tucker 1 lap down in 42nd. Conti came back down pit road for what appeared to be a penalty. He's 43rd and 2 laps down.
Yeah, Michael Conti, I have a feeling he probably sped coming off the pit lane after they released him from the pit start. At least that's what it seems to look like right now. But yeah, for the most part, though, Ray Alfala's got this hook right up. PJ Sturgis is dealing with Justin Bolton right behind, but Bolton not seeming able to keep up on this straight. Which is rather entertaining. But for the most part, though, I have to say, we'll have to see how this tire wear goes here. We were just talking about all that. It's necessarily a run with the tires. And we'll have to see what people want to do. Justin Bolton, well, he's trying to look to the inside, but he just doesn't want to commit to it. I think it's because he wants to keep those tires rolling. You don't want to use them up too much, but right now, Bolton, he seems so much faster in the straight. Yet his line is askew, and PJ Sturgis is able to pull away on the straight. So interesting differences in the two drivers, but for the most part here, everyone seems to be just spacing out a little bit. Massive gap between Tyler D. Hudson in 14th and Patrick Crabtree in 15th, and we see a lot of side-by-side racing, almost 4 rows deep there, and Thomas Davis, a big wiggle from that number 85 car, Evan.
And he's in the middle of the mix as well. In front of them, Kenny Humpy, the number 58 Peak Chevrolet. He goes to the inside on the 29 of Kevin King. He'll take that spot away in a battle. That was for 17th at a turn number 2. And behind him, Brian Blackford in the middle of it all, just taking it in. Then you find the 34 of Busa. He's on the inside of the 93 of Byron Daly. Outside was not a kind place to be on the drop of the green flag. Now 17 laps to go. But right now, the 93 using that big run off the 24 degrees of Ankit to actually defend his position. And Daly going to stay in front of Matt Busa. And now we'll see the 03 of Dylan Jones. He'll go to the outside of the racetrack, try to make some moves in turn 2. He goes door to door with the 34 down the back.
Yeah, Byron Daly and Matt Busa have been going at it for about 10 laps or so, and they've fallen back a few positions as you see them right now around position number 20. There's the 74 Taylor Hurst also making an outside move on this battle as well. You see the 47 of Chris Overland side by side with Michael Johnson. Got a couple of drivers back here that we said off the hop that we should watch throughout the evening, and they're trying to make their way towards the front of the field. Brad Mahar leading this pack up there with Kenny Humpy in car number 58. It's going to be Brad Mahar, top 10 in the point standings, very consistent so far this season, but I know he's looking for a little bit more out of that number 13 car than running 15th.
Change for position up a little bit further. P10 Corey Vincent going to get at least one spot back in his quest to get back inside the top 5. And we mentioned he went from P4 to P11 in the opening 2 laps. He got one spot back for the 90 Nicholas Johnston. That was the only battle at that moment inside of the top 10. Behind them, a good race down the back straightaway. Now that the outside of the racetrack is coming in, it's a lot harder for the guys on the inside to make the moves. Kevin King, the 29, he's trying to go back on the offensive, and on the outside of Patrick Crabtree doing a good job of hanging on in the Ducks Unlimited Ford, and he'll remain in front that time. But before, these guys really using that 24 degrees of banking, especially down at a turn 4 and especially in turn 2 as well, to get that run and stay in front of these guys on the inside of the racetrack. And in fact, we're starting to see guys, Cam, start to go to the outside to make moves as opposed to immediately diving to the inside.
Yeah, that's how Mahar managed to make it past Crabtree. I have a feeling Crabtree, his tires, he committed to the inside. His tires started to let go a little bit, and now he's taking a much more regular line through Texas here. Just as we're saying, as Kenny Humpy will dive to the inside here, but he should end up washing out, and Brad Mahar should be able to catch right back up on the straightaway as we're seeing right now. Yep, Brad Mahar does seem to have the speed in his Toyota Camry. Will he look down to the inside of the Chevrolet? No, he won't have enough time going down the 1.5 miles here at Texas. But for the most part, though, I have to say, with this tire wear that we were seeing, it has opened this track up now. And people are trying to make passes in different styles and different locations here as we're all go through the Double D in the back section of the field here. Chris Overland, he's been working for quite a couple of laps now on Byron Daly, and ultimately, though, the field seems to be closing back up. Taylor Hurst ends up losing the rear end just a little bit, and Chris Overland, Byron Daly, oh, so very, very close.
Yeah, they might have touched that time, but a turn 2. If it's going to be like this all night long, you're in for a show. These guys are going at it. 47 to the inside, the 93 of Daly topside behind him, side by side between Busa and the 41 of Jake Sturgis. And all of this, meanwhile, is about 7 seconds behind your race leader, Ray Alfala, who's slowly being reeled back in by Justin Bolton. The gap for P1 and P2 now down to 0.3 of a second, but other than that, no major changes inside of the top 5 or the top 10. It's a big gaggle of cars in front of them. The 13 of Brad Bahar, as we mentioned. He's trying to stay in front of it all, but that side-by-side battle between Crabtree and King continues in turn 4. 15, a little bit of a bobble on the inside coming off the corner. The outside of powers right on through, and now you'll see that 03 machine of Dylan Jones go to the outside. He tries to pick up a spot, drives it in a little bit hard to turn 1. He sets his sights on Kevin King.
And the 22 thought about sticking his nose in there. 3 wide was in the middle of that scene. Brian Blackford going to pick up 1 on Patrick Crabtree. Look at the 03 in front of him of Dylan Jones, and he's been bringing along Taylor Hurst as well in that number 74. Now King to the inside of Brad Mahar in the 13. 13, little bit of a bobble at a corner number 4. The 29 can't seem to get to the inside, but he doesn't want to look back because he's got a gaggle behind him. The 22, 74, 03 on the outside. Crabtree trying to hold on the inside, as is that 41 of Jake Sturgis. 15, 22 nearly have a moment at a corner number 2. They get it straight down the back straightaway, but we are going to be 3 wide. The 93 on the outside, 41 on the inside, and Chris Overland going to make it 4, maybe not.
They thought about it. They'll squeeze real tight coming up off the turn 4. Contact the 15 to Crabtree. He'll get turned down to the grass. He hangs on. He'll take an off-road excursion through the grass. Hang on. What a save by the number 15 to Patrick Crabtree. It'll cost him time. He'll have some damage. That could have been a lot worse, though, because they went from about 4 wide in turn 3 to 2 wide coming off of turn 4, and all those cars didn't fit into those 2 single lanes up against the fence.
No, not at all, and Patrick Crabtree, got to give him credit. That could have gone 10 ways wrong, as Crabtree picked a little bit of front-end damage. As we're seeing a couple of cars peel into pit lane there, Michael J. Johnson and Ryan Lowe, but I have to say here, looking to the front of this race, Ray Alfalla, his tires have been running off as he's been running. Justin Bolton closing on in. Perhaps it is just going to be one of those things where Bolton might have a setup that seems to be coming in, whereas Ray Alfalla might have a setup that starts to decay towards the end of these green flag runs. I think we're going to see. It was very, very close to running a caution, Evan, but I have to say, luckily, we're still green. We're going to start seeing some green flag pit stops side of Finland.
And with how exciting things have been, especially in the last 10 laps, it's going to get even more interesting when you get guys out there with fresh tires against some of these guys on the older tires. Your race leader, Ray Alfalla, his best lap was a 28.6 right now. He's running 31 flat, so you're looking at about a second and a half or a second and some change of fall off on the tires. And we're beginning to really see a bunch of guys come down to the pit lane. Started to really see them come down at lap number 28. But up front right now, your leaders have yet to make a decision to come down pit side. And in fact, Justin Bolton, he wants to make it a battle. He wants to lead before he heads down track side. And you see he looks to the inside on Alfalla. The two going to leave the door open. We go side by side again for the race lead. And this time your pole sitter Bolton, he'll go back to the point at lap number 30, relegating Ray Alfalla now back into second.
And we've seen this out of the team so far this season, and even back into last season, where they have good long run cars leading up to a pit stop. And Justin Bolton started reeling in Ray Alfalla on this run at about 20 laps or so. The last 10 laps really started to make some inroads on that number 2, and now he sits in the lead. Ray Alfalla back to position number 2, and you look back at Cody Bias and Dylan Duval, they're back there as well in 5th and 6th. Long run cars, or long run setups underneath those race cars by the looks of it right now, so keeping a half eye on that. And oh, by the way, PJ Sturgis closing into the 2.
Tucker, King, Bousselot, Doherty, and company, some of the names that have already been down to the pit lane. We talked about a window of 30 to 40 laps, and especially when you come down is going to dictate what you're able to do on fuel over the course of a long run. Chris Overland coming down into the pits, as well as Gilliland, Daly, Crabtree. So a lot of your top runners begin now to drop to the wayside. However, for those inside of the top 5, nothing yet until Justin Bolton. He'll jump down off of the racing surface and come in. Your race leader gives it up at lap 32.
Yeah, absolutely. That number 36 car coming down the pits with a couple of other cars in tow as it's going on through here. We've got about 5, 6, 7, 8 cars coming down the pits, some coming in, some coming out. We'll have to see what Ray Alfalla does, and this pit entry is very, very difficult here, as actually PJ Sturgis has gotten ahead of Ray Alfalla here for the lead of this race. And Ray Alfalla, I don't think he didn't put up any contest because he brings that number 2 Ford down into pit lane. entry is a very difficult one at that. You've kind of got two different commitment cones coming off of four, a lot of speed. Somebody gets a run on you, it could make it a very interesting thing, Evan, but the majority of this green flag field coming in down the pits right now on lap number 33. We have a caution somewhere on the track.
Caution going to fly for the first time tonight at lap 33, just as Tyler Hill was getting down onto the pit lane, and in the cycle of pit stops, it's going to make the running order quite a mess here. Still early at the Texas Motor Speedway, but we do have a caution flag out at lap number 33 with PJ Sturgis scored as your race leader. At this point, many drivers had completed service. They were running one lap down. Many drivers were in the process of being serviced down on the pit lane, and that's going to really mess them up and put them deeper in the pack that I'm sure they would like to be. But the caution flag does come out first time tonight. Got a good green flag running. You just hate to see the yellows fly in the middle of a green flag cycle like this, and problems, I believe, trying to find a number on where the yellow flag comes from, trying to find the accident.
And it's going to, as you mentioned, cut these stops in half. You have about 11 drivers right now scored on the lead lap, and a lot of drivers haven't scored as one lap behind the pace. So you're going to see a lot of drivers here stay out and take the wave around, and you're going to see some guys that might not have been running near the top 5. They're going to have an opportunity to run near the front of this field.
We see where everybody ends up. Sturgis going to come down for some yellow flag service. Ottinger, Clampett in third. Jake Sturgis and Tyler Laughlin going to be running 1 through 5 with just 11 drivers on the lead lap. Positions 13th through 42nd are drivers that are one lap down. Oh, but I think 1 or 2 of those are from guys that had already come down and gotten service completed. There's going to be a lot of wave buys this time, and it's going to give a big win, really, for Sturgis, who stayed out there. We always talk about the short pit being a good strategy call, helping you out on the tires, but sometimes staying out longer, a little bit of the luck of the draw never hurt either, but it helps you out being pit side as well. If the yellow flag does come out, the race off at a pit lane not going to go to Sturgis. Logan Clampett, the 44, wins that battle off with 4 tires.
Well, he does, and I think 4 tires are going to be the thing of the day here, obviously, especially with this tire wear here. I think the tires are wearing off faster than the fuel tanks are emptying, so one of those things where you definitely need all 4. So it wouldn't surprise me at all. I would never think that somebody tries to take 2. Perhaps we could see some crazy late strategy thing here, but I think everyone going on the 4 here. Very flip-flopped this field here. Nick Ottinger, well, he's all the way up front. He started, he's in second. He started in 9th, but actually, Jake Sturgis, he started in 27th. Well, he's found his way all the way up to 6th, so that's not bad at all either for Tyler Lawton. I have a feeling these guys aren't that too terribly torn up that there was a caution flag flying. And either way, though, PJ Sturgis, well, his brother's not too far behind, I think, for the most part, though. It's been good running for PJ. He's doing a good job in that number 57 NASCAR.
I believe the yellow came somewhere towards the entrance of the pit lane, but nonetheless, we do have a early caution flag here at the Texas Motor Speedway, so we'll slow things down. Still 130 laps to go. In fact, this next time around, plenty of time for these drivers to get back up on the wheel. And in most races, you look at the restarts as a part where you want to make up as much time as you can, and try to make positions and make moves on the guys that are right there up on you. But in fact, it has been a really racy setup so far tonight. We saw people battling all throughout. The way that this is all going to shuffle out, though, is you're going to have Ray Alfala in front, Logan Clampett, Sturgis, Ottinger, and Sturgis as well inside of the top 5, with Johnston, Laughlin, Barry, Duvall, and Hudson now your top 10 runners.
And when you look at this field right now, you have 9th place Dylan Duvall running right behind the pace car. He's the first driver to get the wave around. The last driver to get the wave around at this point is Nick Furler, and he runs back in 38th position. So there will be a lot of wave around cars here on this caution when we do go to 1 to green, which should be right here. And we're going to see a lot of cars pass the pace car here, and there they go.
So they're going to get the wave buys this time, and you saw the replay for the accident. That number 9 machine getting into it on the entrance of the pit lane. Tyler Hill pushed it up a little bit and made contact with, I think, was Patrick Crabtree in turn number 4. So that is the cause of your opening yellow flag on the night. Not enough damage, I think, on either of those cars to really put them in a dire position, but they are going to lose significant time for damage repairs. You see the 15 machine, Patrick Crabtree, he is 41st now, 1 lap down. He's going to be back in down to the pit lane for service now, and he'll probably be down to the pit lane every opportunity he can get tonight, try to get the front end of that race car patched up, because front end damage can all lead to tons of issues on that race car with overheating and whatnot. So the car is going to plow a lot too. So he'll try to get that thing fixed. We're doubled up, and we are set for our first restart on the evening. Alfala electing the inside. Logan Clamp at first. NASCAR beginning for series race in 2016. He's in a spot to try to lead a lap. They'll be 2 wide all the way through 38th position with cars on the lead lap. The pace car going to make the sharp left-hand turn down. Alfala's on the gas. Green flag flies. We're back at it at Texas.
Yes, just like that, as they head into corner number 1 here, Ray Alfala sticking up front here, actually, with Logan Clampett not that far behind. We'll have to see what Logan Clampett can do and PJ Sturgios can do here at the start of this race here. Just the caution leaving just like that. But I have to say, one car well up high, it's Tyler Lawton. But with Casey Tucker and Dylan Duvall, as well as Tyler D. Hudson, somebody peeling into the pits here right after the start of the green flag, which is rather an interesting strategy to say the very least. Everyone else getting away here. It's going to be very interesting to see who these front runners are, who are now stuck a lap down, how they are going to be trying to cut through the field. I think it was Chris Overland with that penalty.
Yeah, Overland into the stall, and then he missed the stall on the first shot at it. So to add insult to injury, the 47, he'll be down for an extensive penalty in the box, and once that's taken care of, he's now let go, and he'll try to get back up to speed over the field already, back down to turn 1. You could put the 47 Overland now down 1 lap, and for a driver that was running inside of the top 10 before the pit cycle and the caution flag came out, a little bit of bad luck, a little bit of a mistake on his part, you find yourself 1 lap down just like that. Alfala, though, doesn't have to worry about the challenge from your posted or Justin Bolton right now, because the 2 came in 1 lap after the 36 did. That put Justin Bolton 14th, and it put Ray Alfala P1. So the 2 machine enjoyed the way that the cycle of the caution flag pit service worked out. He's in front, and Clampett, who's going to challenge for the race lead, his prior concern is looking at that 57 to PJ Sturgis, who wants P2 from him.
Yeah, we see what we did on the first initial run of this race. Ray Alfala beginning to pull away from the rest of the field, but there's Logan Clampett keeping his wits about himself right now, making sure that he has control of that race car, and he starts to run off and doesn't abuse his tires. Right now in position number 2, being chased down by PJ Sturgis, and looking good so far in position number 2 in his first start in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. But he's got the 57, he's got the 05 back there, about a second back. Jake Sturgis, Josh Berry, a lot of those drivers, veterans of this series. So if Logan Clampett can stay up here within the top 5, top 10, I'd say it's probably a successful debut, but we're only 43 laps in.
The numbers looking good so far tonight for Davies. Big checkup in turn 4 to the bottom. Ryan Borges was challenging him for the number 16 position, and it looked like the 32 almost had that move in the bags. Car got real tight out of turn 4. He checked it up the hill, causing Vincent and Fayash to scatter off the corner, and that's going to put the 77 back into the clutches of the number 4 of Timmy Hill. That race goes down to turn number 3, 6 seconds behind the battle for the race lead, but Ryan Borges tried to make that position, just couldn't quite hold that 32 on the inside, and that's what's allowing those guys on the outside camp to make those moves on the outside of the racetrack to the longer end of a green flag stretch, or even just defend those positions in a two-way battle, as they can get back to the throttle and hold it out a lot more wide open, coming off, center off, if they time it right, as opposed to the guys on the inside who can't necessarily commit to keeping that pedal down.
Well, absolutely, and I think what we're seeing a lot of is this inside line there pulling way down to the inside banking. I think we saw a lot of these guys who are running side by side going well down to the inside, down the backstretch here, as Timmy Hill is kind of leading this second pack from position all the way back, position 20 all the way back, as he is getting pursued by Nathan Wise and Cody Bias, and Brandon Schmidt and Alex Warren. They've been side by side for the last couple of laps now since this restart. Mitchell Hunt, though, in that 81 car, is going to start to look getting by here. It's a interesting call you have to make. Do you want to try and make it 3 wide going down the straight, or do you want to stick your nose in? Coming off of one of the corners, Mitchell Hunt, that 81 car, having to make that decision. But we've seen quite a bit of 2 wide action here in the back of the field, but in the front of the field, well, right now, it is all that Ray Alfalla number 2 car. I have to say, his setup, very, very lenient on having 4 brand new tires, but I think we will see as time comes on, as everyone passes by Patrick Crabtree as he's exiting pit lane or entering pit lane perhaps. We'll figure out what's going on in that, but I think Ray Alfalla right now showing his cards with what kind of setup he has under that number 2 Ford.
And it's the biggest gap we've seen all night long for the race leader right now. Just a little bit over a second between race leader Ray Alfalla, second place runner Logan Clamp at the 44. He still has the 57 right on the back decklid. Other than that, everybody inside of the top 5 has been running calm. We go side by side at a 4, though. It's a battle for P4, the 05 Nick Ottinger. He's on the bottom. Jake Sturgis making the move to the outside of the racetrack in 3 and 4. Squeezed real tight up against the fence into turn 1. You see the run center off going to be what gives him the advantage, and you can give it to him. How about that move? Sturgis, he takes P4. He drops Nick Ottinger back to 5th, and now he'll have to deal with the number 5 machine of Michael Conti, who still runs 2 laps down, trying to figure out how he can get back to the lead lap.
Yeah, he's going to try to stay up here and maybe get a wave around if a caution flag does come out here fairly shortly. But he's trying to stay up there and maintain something. He told me earlier he had a good car underneath him. He thought he could get a top 10 run, but he's in the hole very early here at the Texas Motor Speedway as he chases down these guys up in front.
And it's the risk that you take from starting on the pit lane. We saw 2 drivers start from pit road, and not only that, but he put himself 1 lap down, and then the mistake put him, and a penalty put him 2 laps down. Caution gonna fly. Lap number 51 will slow them down again, and a slow car down in turn number 3. It looks like problems for the number 85 of Thomas Davis.
Yeah, it looks like that number 85 car, that green and white car, excuse me, no black on that. Looks like he was coming off of corner number 2, actually. He's managed to clip the black car of Alex Warren as they were going down the backstretch. And, well, that just ultimately wasn't able to save it, put him in the outside retaining wall. Then he went hard into the inside retaining wall. So, well, this is one of those things. It's a straight-up incident this time, not necessarily just one car getting spun out. And, boy, does this change everything as far as the pit cycles go, Evan.
And that could have been a lot bigger of an accident as well. He took a pretty good look to the inside fence as well. The outside, everybody was able to avoid him, and that means that the action on the pit lane going to be for service as opposed to damage repair. So here they come. Ray Alfalla going to bring us down to the pit lane for the first time tonight. Sturgis, Clampett, Sturgis, and Ottinger, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And those drivers that got waved by and stayed out neglected to come down to the pit lane the last time to get waved by. They'll be able to get their 4 fresh tires and feel it'll put everybody back on the same strategy this time.
Yeah, this is going to equalize the field. Some of those drivers that had to take the wave around, they're going to be up there near the front, and those guys that stayed out, yeah, they're probably going to be up front too if they have this flawless pit stop down here.
And it looks like the 2 of Alfalla, 4 tires, which Cam talking about how that looks like what he's going to want all night, and I'm sure that that's going to be the strategy call. Unless we get a couple of late race yellows, somebody might swing for the fences, but I think 4 tires is what you want all evening long. He'll be the first driver out with service. Timmy Hill takes the pass-through. He'll come down at a later time by to be serviced and then drop to the back of the pack. The number 4 machine likes to hang out towards the rears until late in the race before he makes his charge, so he's not up in the excitement during a lot of the race where you see most of the contact happen. So the 4 machine we expect back down to the pit lane in the next lap or 2. Chris Overland looking for a wave by again. He's fallen 2 laps down with the penalty that he suffered. That's 3 different drivers that were top 10 cars on the grid that have found themselves with penalties in the opening 50 laps. You'll see the number 5 machine out in front of the field. Just mentioned that Conti was running 2 laps down. He'll be able to get one of those laps back, and Tim had just mentioned that he was hoping for a quick caution flag in order to get one of those laps back, so he'll stay out. He'll take the wave by once we get the one to go. He'll still be, though, 1 lap to the negative. He's got 116 laps still to go this time by the start-finish line to play with. Not the way that the number 5 had been planning on spending his night, but it's a step in the right direction going to -1.
Yeah, indeed it is. Timmy Hill staying out here under this caution flag. And you know what? He might end up staying out here and leading this field to green. We've seen it before, some of these drivers trying to get that quick caution like we just saw. Timmy Hill on that last run was running, I think, 20th, 25th, somewhere around there. So if we get 10, 15 laps, he stays out on the racetrack, he's up in the top 15, let's say, Evan. It's not a huge loss, and as I say that, he's going to come down pit road. So forget whatever I just said, but it might work for somebody later on in the race. If we do see a rash of caution flags and we do see a lot of these guys come down onto pit road, it could very well change the strategy for somebody in this field. Ray Alfala will take the lead back as these wave around cars make their way past the pace car, and will be getting ready to go green next time by.
Both the 47 and the 5 get to take the way by, so now they sit just 1 lap down, along with the behind of Tyler Hill, who was involved in the opening caution flag on the night. We saw him get into a little bit of contact coming off of turn number 4. They are amongst the drivers that are 1 lap down. Thomas Davis, heavy contact down the backstretch, right out your most recent yellow. He right now is 42nd position, 3 laps down, is on the pit lane. May not be returning to the racetrack yet tonight. Patrick Crabtree, the one that got into the back of the 9 in that first yellow, he's at the back right now, 43rd position, 9 laps down, and as well, it looks like his night may be done. Although so far, all drivers that started are still at the racetrack, nobody in the garage at this moment. It'll be a restart with 38 drivers on the lead lap, and just like it was last time, Alfala on the inside, but Sturgis on the outside of the front row in P2. Nick Ottinger 3rd, Logan Clampett 4th, and Jake Sturgis will round out your top 5. He's your biggest mover so far from P27 to P5. The pace car down and away, 2nd time tonight. Restart at the Texas Motor Speedway. No problem for the 2 to set sail. He's out by 3 car lengths to turn number 1 and leaves a good battle for P3 behind as Sturgis gets 2nd. Ottinger fighting it with Clampett in 2.
Already a great start from that number 2 Ford as PJ Sturgis is left just a little bit in the dust there, as this is the 2nd time Ray's had to start off the front of that car. And he has managed to pull away once again as Nick Ottinger now is dealing with Logan Clampett and Jake Sturgis as there are 2 wide, Nicholas Johnson and Josh Berry. As they're all having good runs here. Your top, pretty much from your top 5 to your top 10, they all started in well back in the field. 27th is where Jake Sturgis started. Tyler Hudson starting in 20th, Tyler Lawton in 25th, and Taylor Hurst in 26th. So this field getting very, very mixed up between the interestingly timed cautions that we've had here, even though everyone is now set together on the same lap. I have to say, it should be interesting to get everything back up together, but qualifying obviously doesn't mean much anymore as Nicholas Johnson, he is trying to force his way down into the inside line. Taylor Hurst, though, not giving it to him, though, and he'll go into position number 8.
That first yellow put Dylan Duvall, Justin Bolton, Alan Bose, and Corey Vincent back. They were on 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th, respectively. They all started inside of the top 10, and it's not that easy for a car that maybe is the 7th place car to run in P12 and to make the moves, because the guys in front of them, like Blackford, Laughlin, and Hurst, aren't just going to roll over and give it up. But if they can find that consistent long-run speed that they appeared to show in the opening 30 laps or 33 laps or so of this race before we got that first yellow flag, they should be able to try to pick their way back up to the front, but the yellows have most certainly shuffled things up. P1 through 4 started top 10, P5 through 11 started outside the top 10, and the constant through all of this has been Ray Alfala. He is out in front and leading this race at lap number 58. Winner from 2 weeks ago at Fontana's Auto Club Speedway. 2nd place finisher, though, in that event was PJ Sturgis. PJ Sturgis right now running P2, and also as they run in the championship, they would be Ray Alfala P1 and PJ Sturgis P2. So the 2 and the 57 have been at each other's throats really all season long, and they look pretty equal tonight, but so far the 2 with the small upper hand.
I like the way this 05 is looking here this evening. Nick Ottinger right now in position number 3. No pressure from behind, no pressure in front of him. Just riding along right now, a couple laps in to this green flag run. I like the way the 05 looks so far. Behind him, though, about a half second or so, is Jake Sturgis and Josh Berry. Berry has a good car this evening, as does the driver behind him and Tyler Hudson in the 01. But the 4188 nose to tail right now as Berry tries to make his way a little bit closer towards the front of the field. He looks at position number 4 as they come across the stripe this time, and we have 60 laps completed here at the Texas Motor Speedway.
These guys really starting to team up on the number 44, Logan Clampett. Just 3 laps ago, he was running 4th. Now he's back down into the number 9 position. But for his first ever NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series start, having a good showing, running top 10, a lot more than I'm sure a lot of the series veterans could have asked for when they made their first career start. But he did lose 5 spots in the last 3 times around the racetrack. So that's going to push him back just a little bit and really put now 2.2 seconds plus deeper into the pack. But Sturgis running right now P2. He's starting to close into Ray Alfala's gap. We saw this in the opening stint. The number 2 machine pulled out in front. It was eventually reeled back in by Bolton. Well, Sturgis allowed that to get away by 1 second. Now it's back down to 4/10.
Yeah, and it's just been lap after lap. If we close out 62, go to lap 63 here, and well, just as you said, it was 4/10 here. We'll have to see what Sturgios's car can do. As he was dealing with, Ray Alfala was dealing with our qualifier, our top qualifier, Justin Bolton. Bolton's car was coming in great at the end of a run, whereas Ray Alfala's was falling off. Now we have to see where PJ Sturgios's car will do. Was his car possibly a long-run car set up for Nick Ottinger? Also a question mark. Jake Sturgios, I'm sure also a question mark, and how these setups are going to run here, I'm sure we'll see as the laps go ticking on by. But for the most part, though, I have to say we are still getting a lot of action in the back of this field, just as we have been seeing all day long. There are still some cars that are 2x2 going through this tricky Texas track as it's turning into. I think we're going to start seeing cars pull away to the outside. Tyler Lawton kind of leading that top 10 and back group as he's trying to chase down Logan Clampett. But for the most part, though, I have to say, we've still got a lot of 2 wide action in the back of the pack.
These guys run double file. We saw a lot of the battles in that opening run coming outside of the top 20. And there's a lot of single file riding, and they're not really getting far apart. So you'll see somebody swing to the inside every once in a while. It keeps things very fluid at the front of the field. At a good battle at a turn 4 sees Dylan Duvall go down with Brian Blackford, the 22, putting up one of his best runs we've seen so far this season. He started 24th, just as Tyler Laughlin in front started P25. Those two have been kind of working through the field together, and Blackford trying to get inside of the top 11, had the spot at the line. Duvall not going to give it up, though, on the inside.
Duvall going to try to take that spot away, and just behind him, he has the 36 of Justin Bolton, the 21 of Alan Bowes, the 10 of Corey Vincent, those drivers you mentioned earlier, Evan, that were running near the front of the field when the caution flag came out to jumble up that pit stop strategy early in this race. But one of their wingmen that they're missing is Cody Bias, is a 42 and 22, nearly have a moment off corner number 2. They'll drag race down the back straightaway. Looks like Duvall will have the position here, and now the 36 will set his sights on the 22. The 21, 81, 10, they're all chasing down that 22 on the inside. I was about to mention Cody Bias, so Bias has had a little bit of trouble running in traffic. He's with this pack right now, but he's back in position number 18. So he's had a little more trouble compared to the others running up through this field. And Evan, we've seen it before out of the 27 in this season. He's qualified well. He's run up front. He gets in traffic and just can't seem to get his way back up to the front, albeit it is early here. We have 100 laps to go.
He's one of the drivers that has been able to qualify well, but hasn't been able to stay up where he qualifies. More so, we talked in the pre-race about guys who qualify deeper in the pack but have good race from the 27, riding right now with Kenny Humpy, the number 58 machine. While he's had a quiet season, is 10th in the championship standings, but he's almost already over a race behind from your drivers up at the top of the pile. In 19th, he's looking for a little bit more, trying to turn things around here tonight, and so far can't find that little little bit extra to get him inside the top 10. Side by side, 2 rows deep in front of him. That 22 of Blackford lost the battle to Dylan Duval, and now he's got to deal with Mitchell Hunt on the inside of the racetrack, and behind them, looks like Trey Edson going to get the upper hand on the 10 machine. 40 Vincent swings back to the inside, can't get the position, and a single file out.
Well, that they do. The exit to the corner number 2, I'm finding, is so very important because that run down the backstretch is just lining you up for 3 and 4. And right now, as it looks like Kenny Humpy is trying to make that pass on the outside work, I think now we've had enough laps on these tires where it is going to work, and it does work. Kenny Humpy on the outside over Cody Bias. He doesn't have anything going on the inside line, and seeing a lot of these cars start to track out, and that's where things are going to get tricky. That's where things are going to get interesting, and where I think we wouldn't be I wouldn't be too surprised to see if somebody loses it coming off of corner number 2, just as we had at our second caution of the day here. And see if we can re-rack these things back up. It looks like it might just be that kind of day as Justin Bolton goes onto the inside of Dylan Duval, but I'm not sure if his tires are going to have enough length on it, as actually Justin Bolton will get that pass done really before halfway through corner number 2. But this is the problem here, because Dylan Duval should have a higher speed on the exit. It doesn't matter, because Justin Bolton's number 36 is going to pull out in front. So he is going to move himself up to 11th, but, well, when he started in first, and it's not necessarily the best day at all. But, as we've been saying, got a lot of laps here. Tyler Lawton's up ahead, so we'll see if perhaps Justin Bolton can start working his way back up.
In fact, 110 laps still to go, so 10 laps shy of the halfway point here, inside of 100 laps to go, but there is time for these guys to try to still get the job done, and on the inside of the racetrack, making that move, and really, when that 36 Tim cleared the 42 before they got to the center of 1 and 2, that's a big reason why he was able to get that pass done. If you let that guy on the outside stay on your right rear quarter panel, you can't bring that car all the way up to the fence coming off the corner. You kind of have to wait on getting to the gas, and that 36, that hard entry, well, he didn't have as much speed as maybe the 42 did off the corner. Getting clear earlier as opposed to later was a big key factor in him being able to make that move, and your pole sitter almost back inside the top 10. He's up to 11.
And we saw it during the first run of the race. Justin Bolton's car gets a little bit better with age throughout the run as Alan Bowes and Mitchell Hunt will go side by side behind the 42 with Dylan Duval. And I'm surprised that Dylan cannot keep up to the 36. They're teammates. They should be on the same stuff. But maybe Dylan Duval is saving a little bit, obviously a little bit different driving style than his teammate in the 36. But Justin Bolton, I think that car is really starting to hit his sweet spot compared to the other drivers around him right now. Reeling in the 51 of Tyler Laughlin. Great run for the T-Loff in the 51, but he is going to surrender 10th place to Justin Bolton. Corner number 4, the 36 going to get that drive off from the 51, and he'll take 10th place, and he's got about 3/4 of a second between him and Logan Clampett.
You want to talk about somebody hitting their stride? How about Ray Alfalo? We were just talking about how the two did not look that good on the longer run in the opening stint. And we were talking about how PJ Sturgis was reeling a bit. Well, all of a sudden, 0.3 of a second to 2 seconds. Biggest gap on the night. The Alfala Tech Ford figured something out here in the longer end and approaching what going to be green flag pit stops here in the next couple of laps. And he's, I assume now, well aware of what happened that first time by. Might be a little bit more conservative before he jumps down to the pit lane to kick off the set of green flag pit stops. But he does have a comfortable lead, though, over Sturgis. And in fact, Nick Ottinger, who's been by himself for a lot of this run, he's starting to get a knock on the doorstep from behind because Jake Sturgis and Josh Berry are there. Good three-way battle going on inside the top 5.
Well, I was going to say, just as Jake Sturgis is looking towards getting towards Nick Ottinger, Josh Berry leaned right on the inside in his number 88 peak antifreeze car, but Josh Berry, he's holding alongside now. Perhaps he might try an outside pass as time goes on here. These tires start wearing on down. You can actually see that dark groove of rubber starting to build up on the inside line of the corners here at Texas. The rubber getting laid down as we go along here on the iRacing service. But Josh Berry, well, he's got his sights locked on Jake Sturgis. Not quite sure, though, as the laps tick down, I would necessarily want to be trying to pass on the outside as, well, Taylor Hurst right now is with Nicholas Johnson and Logan Clampett's looking on for 9th, 8th, and 7th position here as they will continue to go too wide. But if you start getting yourself stuck on that outside line, very, very difficult, obviously, to enter pit lane. But ultimately, though, I have to say, Taylor Hurst has been trying to make that outside line work for quite a couple of laps now, as he is still alongside Nicholas Johnson as we are closing out lap number 79, getting on to lap number 80.
You talk about a close call at that time at a 4. That 74 machine almost got pushed into the fence after Johnson slid up the hill a little bit. Did that bobble by the on? He could open up the door behind. You see the 36 bolted. He'll look to the inside of the racetrack. Nothing comes from it. He's got the 44 clamping right behind. But that 90 machine goes from on the attack to on the defensive just like that, and now her single file is free to come down to the pit lane whenever he would like it. It's important when we talk about we saw in that first accident to let the guys behind you know that you're coming down to the pit lane. You can't just get down on the apron, get on the brakes. You got to start slowing down at some point up on the racing surface, and for guys that are running in tight groups like this, they have to make sure those guys around them know what the plan is.
And the one thing we really didn't get to see on that run was guys coming off a pit road, having new tires, and having to bob and weave their way through some of the slower traffic. Justin Bolton falling off the bumper a little bit of the 90 that time through 3 and 4. Great corner exit for Nick Johnston, and he is going to try to pull away a little bit further from that 36 of Justin Bolton. Bolton keeping tabs with Ray Alfala up in front of the field when it came to lap times, and Ray is actually down on pit road right now in car number 2, so your leader heading down pit road on this lap to really kick off the cycle of green flag pit stops.
And that's going to bring everybody else down with him. Once the leader comes in, everybody else wants to get on the same strategy because, again, the fresher tires, you stay out there for any longer, you're going to lose time in the long run. So Ray Alfala, clean service in and out. It left PJ Sturgis out in front, though. The 57 in no rush to come right back down to the pit lane. He stays out for the moment in the Lastra Motorsports Ford. He leads in front of Ottinger and Sturgis, who also have yet to come down to the pit lane, but the likes of Tucker Daly, Humpy Laughlin, Borges, and company, they are all starting to trickle down to the pit lane right at about that 30-lap mark since we last saw these guys in.
Yeah, pit stops are getting away in anger. Cody Bias, Josh Berry, Matt Busa, Crabtree, a whole slew of other names coming down and past the commitment cone here to get back onto the track. Should be fairly interesting here. You've got a lot of fast cars coming alongside, and you're going to try and merge your way up on the backstretch here where people have been racing. So hopefully everything will be going completely clean as we are getting quite a lot of traffic pulling in and out of the field as we have our first full green flag stops. I have to say here, we almost had one early on, but that was brought on their caution, our first caution of the day. But for the most part, though, I have to say, well, Ray Alfala, I was going to say, you really need to kind of stamp your foot down on when you're going to go do this. You don't want to be the leader and have everyone around you coming to pits instead, and that is exactly what he did in that number 2 Ford. Now, well, he's going to hopefully retain that lead. Look at him just go on the outside effortlessly around a pair of cars. One pulled into the pit, but Jake Sturgios didn't stand any chance at all whatsoever. His last lap, Ray Alfala, a 29.1. Jake Sturgios, a 31.1. So just like that, that goes to show you just how these tires are working on these cars.
You see right there at a 2, that's fresh tires versus old tires. On the inside, Ray Alfala, he'll get his lap back from your still race leader, PJ Sturgis, in the 57, who continues to stay out on the racetrack. So there's no doubt that the 2 machine is making up almost 2 seconds per lap right now when his tires are at their peak to the 57 out there on older tires. The flip side, though, something that we saw at Phoenix International Raceway, Tim, is if the 57 comes down, we get a clean cycle through. Not going to happen. Caution flag comes out, and that was the next point, is that Ray Alfala needed to get back to the lead lap at the chance of a yellow. The 57 stays out, and it'll work plenty in his favor. Third time tonight we have a caution, second time in the middle of green flag pit stops.
Yeah, caution flag flying once again here, and it's going to change the strategy for some of these drivers, I am sure, as it looks good for PJ and Jake Sturgis. They're well in front of the field, and it's going to maybe catch Ray a little bit off, but then again, he's on the lead lap, and everybody else is going to have to come down pit road, so it might have just worked out for the 2 on that late pass there, the leader.
He may end up, if he decides to stay out and stay in front of the race lead, at a small disadvantage tire-wise, but it could have been a lot worse. And you can just ask your pole sitter at the beginning of the night that question, Justin Bolton, who was 1 lap down at the time of caution. And with that being said, he's going to find himself once again trying to dig out of a hole. But PJ Sturgis, he'll bring those guys of the 12 that are on the lead lap down to the pit lane. I believe the top 11, with the exclusion of Ray Alfala, all need to come in for service.
Well, absolutely here we'll start to see that INEX car. Well, a pair of INEX cars of both the Sturgios brothers coming in on and alongside here, as well as the rest of the front-running field. A couple of cars staying out. Most importantly, it is Josh Berry and Brandon Schmidt, Tyler Hudson, all staying out, but that's not too surprising here. They're going to be getting their points, and they're going to be getting their drive-bys. Well, actually, Josh Berry does at the very least. But either way, Evan, everything's getting sorted out, re-racked and restacked here, and trying to figure out why necessarily this caution came out. I don't think I really saw anything. Probably somebody spinning out trying to come into the pits again here, but I don't see anybody carrying along any damage, so wouldn't surprise me here to see what if that wasn't the case.
I'll tell you what, it took us a little bit of time to find the first one during the cycle to green flag pit stops, and if trends are a thing you're a fan of, it could very well be a similar situation. However, Ray Alfala, he will come down and take 4 fresh tires, which means that PJ Sturgis, the strategy call to stay out, is going to work for him, and he'll go to the race lead past the halfway point here at the Texas Motor Speedway. It's round number 5 on the 2016 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing and a 57 machine, with the help of the second caution flag in the middle of green flag service tonight. He'll find himself in front as we begin to count down towards the end of this race. We'll take this opportunity to step away and be back for the restart in just a moment. You're watching the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing on RaceSpot TV.
The 2016 iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series is all about change. New teams, new drivers, new tracks, even a new logo. And oh yeah, there's a brand new car. After 5 years of competition, we say goodbye to the Williams FW31 and we say hello to the McLaren MP430. But this isn't just a brand new car, it's a whole new ballgame. And with it, we bring new excitement, new strategies, new technology. For example, energy recovery and drag reduction systems. There's a new way of thinking about racing, and for all the drivers participating, it's back to the drawing board, wiping the slate clean in the ever-consuming pursuit of perfection. One little slip-up, one wrong move on track, one poor strategy call, and it's over. That's the difference between coming up short and becoming champion, and being $10,000 richer to boot. So yeah, change is in the air, but we're going to start getting answers on the 27th of February as the 7th year of iRacing World Championship competition kicks off. And you won't miss a thing, with every single race live on iRacing Live, coverage brought to you by RaceSpot TV. So join us fortnightly from 1:30 p.m. GMT.
Back live at the Texas Motor Speedway, the lights on top of the pace car are out, and we're set for a restart. Going to be a group of Sturgises on the front row, PJ to the inside, Jake to the outside. They'll be joined by Logan Clampett, Nicholas Johnson, and Alan Bowes inside of the top 5. We'll put lap number 91 to the books this time and get set to go. Ray Alfala going to find himself back in P11. It's the furthest down the lineup we've seen him run all night long. We'll have to see if he's able to do what he did with that. The pace car jumps to the wayside, Sturgis on the gas, and green flag flies once again. We go back at it, and a bad jump for Clampett. They'll scramble to the high side. The 44 slow out of the gate, going to cost him a couple.
Oh, absolutely. It's Sturgis leading from Sturgis, leading from Johnston. as Brian Blackford, he's worked his way all the way up from 24th position. He's starting in 5th right now as they are side by side. Logan Clampett on the inside. He had that terrible start. Alan Bowes, though, looking on the outside. I don't think he'll have much with it as everyone is on new boots. And Ray Alfalla, well, he's finding himself in traffic here. He's in all the way back to position number 12. He started in 12th. He's up to 11th. So nothing too much for it there as somebody's running a very, very high side. It's actually Michael Conti, that car, who's quite a bit laps down. 10 laps down Michael Conti finds himself. But for the most part, everyone getting away very cleanly.
Yeah, and that 5 machine, again, his night has gone from bad to worse when it rains and pours. Not sure if you're going to be able to quite recover from that, but he'll try his best to maybe pick up some spots as guys fall out of the race. Battle inside the top 10 sees Andrew Fayash the third. Outside to Ray Alfalla, the two wasting no time to get back up and on the gas pedal, trying to get to the race lead. He's bringing the 88 peak machine to Josh Berry with him, but Fayash, where he runs right now, is very indicative of what we mentioned at the start of the broadcast, running 7th in the championship, average starting position of 32nd, but has an average finish of inside the top 15 tonight. He's starting at 39th. He runs right now in P10. Just the way that the 74 runs much better under race trim conditions than he does in Q. He'll fall to P11 though that time by, and it looks like Hurst's going to challenge as well. Drop the 7-7 now back to 12.
And another driver that's up here in the top 10 having a great run so far this evening is Kevin King, as he has Ray Alfalla to his back bumper. Alfalla trying to get a little bit closer back to the front of the running order. But Kevin King, he struggled the last few weeks, had a fuel issue 2 weeks ago at Auto Club. They didn't get that car full of fuel, and he struggled to 30th place. The 2 almost clips the grass as he battles with the 29 at Kevin King, and that was a close call, and Alfalla still trying to pitch and toss that race car through 1 and 2. Oh boy, that was a close call.
Yeah, that's the Dale Jr. kink there, down the front straightaway. We talked about the double dog leg at the start of the race. And, you know, it's something that could almost bite you there, Cam, but it's also something that you can use to your advantage. You can wait till you go out of that dog leg, and then all of a sudden the inside opens up. You can use that opportunity to swing to the inside. That time, it almost worked against Ray Alfalla. He'll have to wait and try another time on Kevin King, but a close call for sure. And that's not the only time I'm sure that's happened tonight. I can guarantee a couple of other guys going to have some close calls there, because that's what that quad oval front straightaway does, is those two distinct kinks or those two distinct dog legs allow you the opportunity to get a little bit aggressive on that guy in front of you if you want to. And that 2 machine of Alfalla, I'm sure he wants to get up front sooner than later, so he's planning on taking that route.
Well, absolutely. I think we found that he has a very, very good opening stint, that opening run, those first laps. His car is wired to hook to it. He seems to be having a little bit of trouble keeping up and catching and passing this traffic here in front of him. Kevin King, that 29 car, is held in front of him there. But yeah, Kevin King, well, he didn't do anything bad. He left that car in there. He didn't leave that inside line open for it. He used that double dog leg almost like a wall, and Alfalla had to back well out. But we'll have to see here, Alfalla perhaps. He's going to have to, at some point, he's going to have to stick a nose. I think the tires are too good here to really try and pass on the outside. But that number 2 Ford, well, we'll see what he tries to do here, as he's just holding himself there. But going back a little bit further, there is still some 2-wide action. Matt Busa and Kenny Humpy are running their way through as, well, looking all the way back to the field. Actually, things are fairly settled here, but Michael Conti, though, is finding himself, it's a tough situation to be in. You don't want to just let yourself slip all the way back, but you're 10 laps down. You don't really want to cause anything. But either way, I have to say, PJ Sturgio's right off the start of this bat. He didn't get a Ray Alfalla type start, Evan, but boy, is he got a good run up here going on right now.
You know, the problem with Conti is most of the time if you're 10 laps down, you don't have a car that can run, speed-wise with guys inside the top 10. So it's kind of hard to intentionally back out of it, but you have to think on the flip side, you really don't want somebody 10 laps down fighting with you. If you're in a battle for a position on the lead lap, especially off of a restart, we are trying to get everything out of it that you can. That being said, though, he is running in 41st position. Going to be a tough pill to swallow. He'll look forward to Richmond in 2 weeks' time to try to get things back on track. Everybody inside the top 5. they begin to spread out. It looks like Ray Alfala's big tire advantage, or big car advantage, has began to wear off, but he's working hard on Kevin King, the 29, just like we saw in the front straightaway, not giving it up easily. And that 2 machine has got some company, because Josh Berry, although he hasn't really pressured him for the number 9 spot in the last couple of laps, he's following Ray Alfala through. We've seen that a couple of times tonight, where somebody makes a move and the guys behind really don't force the issue. They just sit around, they wait, and as soon as something happens in front of them, they try to take advantage of that as well, and that could be the strategy for the number 2 machine and as well the 88.
And you look at these drivers running for this position. These guys know each other. They've raced each other for a very long time on this iRacing service, and throughout the 2, the 29, the 88, they know how to race each other. So we'll see Ray Alfala ride behind the 29. That looks like the 88's content to ride behind those 2, and we don't see Ray Alfala really pushing the issue or forcing the issue at this point. We're just past the halfway point. 103 laps completed this time by, and Kevin King still has that 2 car dancing behind him.
And big problems now into the garage for Dylan Duval. Mentioned earlier in this race, somebody, if you get front end damage on that car, it could mess with you over the course of a long run. Dylan Duval, heavy front end damage, and it looks like, Cam, that engine is now gone, and just like that, he's behind the wall and out of this race.
I'm pretty sure, as we're watching on the cameras, Ray Alfala working on Kevin King here. He's got that inside line, so he should make it, and I actually think Josh Berry's going to capitalize on this as well, and that number 29 car is going to lose 2 positions just like that. But yeah, Dylan Duval, he was coming down, he was carrying some damage. I almost wonder if he was the reason why the caution came out that last time by. And ultimately, though, that damage catching up with it, possibly some damage to that radiator. The engine let go coming off a 2, and he coasted it down into the pits and behind the wall it went.
So Alfala makes the pass, and just as we had predicted, Josh Berry, the 88, follows him through. So Kevin King going to get the boot back to P10. All of this going on 1.5 seconds behind your race leader. Next driver in line for that 2 would be Alan Bowes. The number 21 machine had a stellar NASCAR iRacing Pro Series season through 2015 and 2016 to get himself back here in the conversation so far this year. 4th in the championship standings, as well, with a 3rd in the championship with a P4, rather, 2 weeks ago at the Auto Club Speedway. Been quiet, though, so far tonight, all things considered. He started P6, he's been running top 10 almost all night long, hasn't made a lot of noise, and so far, being under the radar is working good for him, but he's part of a 5-car pack that sees Mitchell Hunt, Logan Clampett, and Brian Blackford in front of him. 3 drivers running within half a second.
We saw Shane Doherty come down pit road a couple laps ago. He was one of the first drivers on those cycles to come down onto pit road. I bring that up, Evan. We went green a few laps ago. We have 60 laps to go now. We're talking about 30, 35 laps. Is this a one-stop race now to the end? Or do we see somebody try to, break this up into 2 and get 2 short runs and maybe try to get the most out of those tires? Do we see anybody thinking this race is going to go green, throw their hand completely out the window and say, I want to try 2 short stints and maybe try to make up something?
We haven't seen a green flag pit cycle begin and conclude all night long. 2 times we've gotten the green flag pit stops, and 2 times we've seen a caution flag fly in the middle. So by the numbers, are we going to make it the next 50 some odd laps to the end? No. It puts you in a spot, though, where it is tight on making it a one-stop race from here on out. If you do, you are going to be going a little bit over 30 laps per stint. I think a yellow flag is most certainly possible, if not probable seeing here in these closing laps of this race, so I think it's hard to commit to a strategy right now. But for a guy like a Ray Alfala, who's back in P7, or even your pollster that we talked about earlier tonight, Justin Bolton, who has just had absolutely rotten luck tonight with those yellows that has relegated him to 33rd position. He's the lucky dog spot as the first driver 1 lap down. They're tired of yellows. They just want to do some racing.
Well, I think I think at this point, if you're that lap down, you want to... You want a yellow now, as actually Ryan Borge will catch up, will get that. He'll be listed as 1 lap down as he comes down pit road, but obviously Bolton and crew will get past him. But for the most part, though, I have to say, We seem to be having great green lap runs up until the very, very end, and I think someone's tires you start to lose those tires, you start to lose that grip, and you end up spinning out trying to come into the pits. I think that's what bringing out these cautions here is we see a couple of cars coming down the pits right now. They're probably the ones that ended up hanging out, seeing if they could perhaps get a second caution following to get their laps count back up. But for the most part, Evan, I have to say, as everyone's working away on it right now, PJ Sturgis, well, he's not working. He's managed to get his lead, but it's most certainly not the same kind of lead that we have seen from Ray Alfalla. And speaking of which, Ray Alfalla, though, working on that number 81 car of Mitchell Hunt.
He's doing a good job of making the moves, but the most important thing for him, and again, that 88 of Josh Berry, who had been going through the field with him, although the 88 couldn't get by the 21, along with the 2. So Alfalla 7th, Bose is 8th, and Berry back at P9 now. The 2 going to go to the inside. He'll go side by side for P6. Mitchell Hunt gets on the brakes a little bit early. He gives up that spot, no challenge. The problem is for a lot of guys, and you'll see that at the start of the races, Tim, they end up back in the pack. Sure, you could make the passes, but you lose time to the leader. Alfalla is making the moves, but he's not losing time to your leaders. In fact, he's gaining time. He made up a position that last time by and gained a 10th of a second. He's within 1.2 seconds of the front. That's, I think, the more important thing than getting the spots is making sure you're not losing the overall time to the guys up front.
Yeah, everybody up in front has stayed pretty tight when it comes to this lead pack up in front. PJ Sturgis only has a couple car lengths on his brother Jake, and then you got Nick Johnston. And there's Brian Blackford having a great run on the Wendell Scott Foundation, number 22. He's got Logan Clampett right behind him, and then there comes the Alfalla Tech, number 2 of Ray Alfalla. That's the advantage that Ray has on this run, unlike when Ray got out a little bit earlier. He had Justin Bolton chasing him on one run, but Ray went out and drove away from the field. PJ Sturgis, Jake Sturgis, they're not driving away from the field. They've got the field tucked up tight behind them as Ray Alfalla looks at the 44.
He tries to set his sights on his next victim, and in line you'll find Logan Clampett. Blackford, again, a guy who we've really followed through the field a couple of times tonight. We've been following up through. Started 24th, he's P4, not the biggest mover, though, inside of the top 10. That goes to Jake Sturgis. He's picked up 25 positions from the start of the race to run P2, just behind brother PJ Sturgis in the lead. But your biggest mover overall tonight is still Andrew Fayash, 39th to P11. He still runs in 11th position after he fell back there a couple of laps off of the green flag. A very solid and consistent performance from him, much as we've seen basically all season long out of that number 77 team. Sturgis and Sturgis, though, 1 and 2, they're actually running tighter than any time we've seen people run on the longer end of a green flag stretch all night long tonight. And, you know, we've talked a little bit about Cam, how Alfalla looks stronger on the short run and gets a little bit better maybe at the extreme long run, but he kind of died out in the middle, and it allowed a couple guys to get back up to him. The 57 to 41 have pretty much been even since they found each other, but Jake's starting to catch up to PJ. That gap beginning to close in. Just about 4 car lengths separate them at lap 118.
Yeah, about 4 car lengths between the Sturgis brothers, about 10 or 15 car lengths between him and Nicholas Johnston there in third. So they are, if they get up together, ultimately, though, I don't necessarily think Jake is going to be trying to pass PJ, but right now, Ray Alfalla, he's worked his way around Logan Clampett now. Ray Alfalla is going to be looking at the number 22 car, Brian Blackford, who has constantly been stuck behind that Nicholas Johnston car. Johnston, well, they're all running very, very similar lap times. It's not to say that Johnston's slow or anything like that, but for the most part, though, I have to say, as Johnston is now stuck on the outside line here, I have a feeling that outside line is going to be a lot more respectable now as we start getting into this run here, Evan. And I think even Ray Alfalla is looking to it. Perhaps maybe he can go to the outside. No, he will not, and I think that's the right call for Ray Alfalla. But that outside line for some of these guys is starting to come into play here, as we can see Johnston pulling away and securing, once again, position number 3.
And for all the movement we've seen coming out of turns 2 and turns 4 tonight, the fact that we only saw a little bit of contact early in this race and it really didn't lead to anything is somewhat remarkable, because it has been very tight coming off the corners. Look at the 3 machine trying to get through on fresh tires. Brandon Schmidt on the outside of the racetrack. He tries to bob and weave his way through all of these guys battling. You see the 32 coming up as well. might go 3 wide in turn 4 nearly, but the 2, he's trying to focus on Johnston. Can't step out of line though because you got guys on fresh tires coming by who've already come down to complete service, which may or may not be for the final time tonight. With about 47, 46 laps left to go, it would be stretching it to the longer end of a stint. In fact, you'd be pushing it longer than anything we've seen so far tonight to make it to there. The 2 machine going to get P3, so Alfala now back in a podium position. But you have to keep your head on a swivel now that you have a lot of off-speed traffic.
Yep, sorry, Evan. We just we had 4 wide coming off of corner number 4 here around Jake Sturgios, and that was absolutely frightening. I knew it wasn't going to end very well, but ended up with Josh Berry and Brandon Schmidt making contact coming off of 4, and it put Brandon Schmidt into the wall, and they tagged Jake Sturgios a little bit. I want to see if maybe we could get replay of Sturgios going through corner number 4 here as they went 4 wide, Evan.
That 41 was just about hooked into the fence. You take a second look now. The 8 up the middle. He put Schmidt into the fence, and that was a pretty heavy look for both of those guys. But as they bounced down, that 3 machine got into the right rear of the 41 of Jake Sturgis, who was running in P2 at the time. And that could have gone either way, Tim, but luckily for the 41, he's not junked. His car is torn up a little bit, though, and now he's losing time to PJ Sturgis, but now begins to stretch things back out in front between them.
And you mentioned that pit strategy. It looks like about half the field is on one strategy, half the field is on the other, as you see Tyler Hudson make his way through here on fresh tires and around some of these drivers like Mitchell Hunt and Brian Blackford. 15, 16 cars or so have stayed out on the racetrack, and it looks like their one-stop strategy from the last caution to the end of the race, banking on this thing staying green. Then you got about half the field, guys like Timmy Hill, Trey Edson, Tyler Hudson, we just saw make a pass there. It looks like they're on a 2-stop strategy, and if it stays green to the end, we might have some guys. David Rattler comes to mind a couple of weeks ago that nearly made it play out to the finish on a different strategy than your eventual winner.
And the damage is really starting to cost Jake Sturgis. It now costs him the number 2 spot. Ray Alfala will take it that time in turns 3 and 4. So you could move the number 2 forward into P2, drop Sturgis down to 3rd. And again, if we stay green all the way to the 41, if he wants to get that damage fixed, if he's allotted the ability to come down and get damage fixed on the pit lane, it's going to cost him a ton of time if he decides to do so. So the 41 at a terrible position, and we talked at the start of the race about how guys on fresh tires are running much higher speeds, and the closing rate going to be 2 seconds per lap. Could be interesting. It did lead to 2 yellows already tonight, but we haven't gotten to see what we just saw a couple of laps ago, and that is 2, 3, and 4 wide with guys battling for position and guys laps down battling for position on fresher tires. And again, while I said Sturgis kind of lucked out because he could have easily been in the fence, that damage may cost him a shot at a chance to go to victory lane here.
Well, it certainly could have been a lot worse. When I saw it going 4 wide there, I kind of shook my head and went, oh boy, here we go. And then once they started collecting each other and giving each other quite substantial taps and knocks and all the likes, that I had to say something there. But for the most part, though, I have to say, it is getting a little tricky here with these cars going much faster on brand new tires, going around all of these leading cars. We saw this a lot at Phoenix, and everything ended up working out at the end of the day. But for the most part, though, with Sturgis, he's working his way through. Sturgis has actually had to work his way around some lap traffic and also getting passed by some lap traffic on brand new tires. Now, if you're Ray Alfala, do you fight your way up all the way up to PJ Sturgis and then pit, or do you just come down and pit when you want to get it? It's that strategy that's ever evolving here. Is Alfala? Oh, he's got to be coming in right now. He's getting passed by 3 lap cars right now. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he is coming in. Yes, he is. He woes up that number 2 Ford. Then Alfala Tech Ford coming in to get the pit service that he so very much needs.
You talk about smoking the tires in. He locked him up all the way down to the cones, but it did look like a clean entry for Ray Alfala, and now at a 9/10 of a second differential the last time by. He'll make up some of that time. You would expect PJ Sturgis now kind of has to come in this time by because he can't afford to stay out and give up any additional time to Alfala, the 57 from the race lead. He does come down, so does Jake Sturgis, and a close call behind Mitchell Hunt. Also coming into pit road from P4, he just about got smoked by the 22 of Blackford. Things really tight out there on track, and these guys just hoping they can get this pit cycle done with, because that's about the third or fourth time we've had a top 5 driver, if not make contact with, get pretty darn close to somebody a lap down.
And Mitchell Hunt having to get on the binders to not run into Nick Johnston in front of him in car number 90. Brian Blackford scored as your leader in car number 22 as he makes his way around corners number 3 and 4. He should be heading down pit road this time by. Indeed he is. Kevin King in the number 29 car should be scored as your leader right here. The team, number 29, having a great run so far this evening, leading with just under 40 laps to go in this race, and we'll see what happens to him at the end of this one.
So the service going to be completed and out. Brian Blackford took over the race lead. He's now back in. The 29 machine of Kevin King in the Proline Chevrolet. He goes to the point with Josh Berry, Nathan Wise, Ryan Borges, and Nick Ottinger being scored inside the top 5. Ottinger is in. Wise is in as well. Approaching 35 laps to go. So we get a promise for these drivers. It's going to be the final time they come down to the pit lane if we stay clean and green. And it's been hairy, but so far no incidents, and battles continue all throughout the racetrack. Everybody wants to know, though, where are these guys going to end up? Well, before all of this got underway, before we saw those that went with one-stop strategy come down pit side, it was PJ Sturgis in the lead. But Cam, you made the point that Ray Alfalla might not want to just try to chase him down. He should just try to kick off the cycle of pit stops. That'll give him some time, right? Well, it gives him 0.5 of a second to the good. Ray Alfalla now running in front of PJ Sturgis for what right now is 20th.
Well, it is for 20th right now, but I'm sure unless something happens once again in the turn of the dramatic, which wouldn't be all that surprising, I guess, at this point. I have to say, though, right now you've got Josh Berry up front. He has been running a fair race, though he started in 10th. He's up to first. He has owed a pit stop, I believe, at some point, as he gets passed by Nathan Wise on the outside, a lapped car. It's just one of those things, that ever-evolving pit strategy here. I don't think anyone is going to try to run from here all the way to the end of the pit. Well, actually, you might be able to. It's going to be about 34, 35 laps, so anyone who pits from here should most certainly be able to make it to the end on some decent running tires. Not necessarily sure, Evan, if anyone's going to try to do another pit stop for 4 tires from here to there. But for the most part, though, I have to say, though, everything is starting to fall into place. And, well, Ray Alfalla is only 16 seconds off the front, and a lot of cars still have to come into the pits ahead of him.
Brad Davies almost junked it the last time around as Ray Alfalla was trying to get by. In fact, the number 2, he's having a lot of fun trying to navigate the field. It might be more nerve-wracking, though. He got around Brandon Schmidt that time. He goes up to 15th. PJ Sturgis still behind by only 0.4 of a second. So these guys have to get up and get on it at 22 or 32 laps to go, Tim, this next time by. In 15th position, over 15 seconds behind. They can't take it easy working through the lap traffic, and it's extremely treacherous. The 2, though, he can feel the pressure from PJ Sturgis, just 2 and 3 car lengths behind him right now in turn 4. That means that they really, can't try to set up a pass on these guys. They got to stay in the gas and go for it, and that's what's going to make these interactions between them and some of the slower cars that they're going to be catching up to that much more interesting.
And you see some of those drivers up near the front of the field, guys like Adam Gilliland, Timmy Hill, Trey Edson, Matt Boosa, I believe. Some of these drivers, to Cam's point, they pitted earlier compared to some of these other drivers. They'll have to come down pit road once again, and here comes Adam Gilliland, one of those drivers, down on to pit road for what will be his final stop of the event. So we'll see some more pit stops within the top 15 or so. These guys on differing strategies, but Ray Alfalla, PJ Sturgis, are they out there for the rest of the race? They might be able to try to stretch us, especially with the way those cars are handling. They're mighty fast.
You're looking at a run of about 37 laps or so if you were going to go from when they were down on the pit lane all the way through to the end of the race. Guys up front like a Josh Berry, who leads this race. It is in a spot try to go to victory lane. They should be able to make it on fuel. The question is, what's going to be left of the tires if they stretch these things all the way through? Him and several other people up front, Hudson, Bias, Bose, and Abusa, who are on it right now and round out your top 5 at the moment. They may still want to come back down to the pit lane. It'll cost them 40 some odd seconds for a cycle of pit service. But you see Brandon Schmidt, the number 3 machine, he comes over the radio. He says, I'll be down pit road. He's on the same strategy as those guys. So while Ray Alfala and PJ Sturgis might be done with service, you can't guarantee that the guys in front of them might be either. If they come down pit road, the question then becomes, they'll have the tire advantage. Is that enough of an advantage to then catch back up to the 2 and the 57, just as those guys are doing to them? And it looks like they do have one more trip down to the pit lane left in them. We'll see how that works out.
Well, we absolutely will here. Interesting strategies coming out here on yet another unique race that we've had here in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. It seems that we've had a double dose of green flag pit stops ruined by cautions. Well, at least changed significantly by cautions, to say the very least. And right now, though, Ray Alfala, well, he's up to 4th position. Alan Bowes is just ahead. Tyler Hudson and Josh Berry also up ahead. Berry's car, even though it looks like it's got a little bit of some damage on the front end, I imagine it is perfectly okay, because if that toe was out a little whack, that car would obviously be much slower. So just cosmetic damage on that, number 88. And Ray Alfala, though, he's dealing with trying to go around Adam Bowes. But also Ryan Borges on brand new tires coming in through here. I'm not necessarily sure which strategy will work out in the end. I am always a fan of being on the new tires trying to catch up instead of being on the old tires and trying to outlast. But for the most part, though, we'll have to see here at Texas Motor Speedway, as it is giving us yet another good show.
Kind of like in a plate race. Do you want to be in front late or do you want to be behind late and have the ball in your court per se? It's predator versus prey. Well, Ray Alfala gets to the front of the field. Everybody in front of them, remember they were 20th position 10 laps ago. Most of those drivers have now come down pit road for the second time on this green flag stretch. We expect Alfala Sturgis to be done with service on the night. They're only going to be coming down for that one and only time on this green flag stretch to the end of the race so far. Even if those drivers behind can't get the speed in the fresh tires to catch up to them, which they may be able to and put up a fight for the race lead, it doesn't mean Ray Alfala is in the clear, because PJ Sturgis is going to give him hell 1/10 of a second behind, and Alan Bowes just a little bit further in P3, not that far away. So Alfala, the 2, he's got clean air, but he can feel that 57 breathing down his neck.
The one thing I find kind of ironic about all of this, Ray Alfala, PJ Sturgis, Alan Bowes, your top 3, those 3 drivers have won races already this season. The driver that won the 1.5 miles earlier in the year, albeit on the different rules package, Jake Sturgis, right now, is in a mess right now. He's got the 27 of Cody Bias to his outside. I believe Bias just came down pit road. The car behind him is for position. It's the 81 of Mitchell Hunt, and he goes to the inside of the 41 of Jake Sturgis. That's a side-by-side battle at 6th. Here comes the 1 on new tires. Trey Edson trying to make his way through this pack, and they're going to tiptoe through, and just ahead of them, Logan Clampett is on the same lap as the 81 and the 41. That would be the lead lap. Clampett holding down 5th.
An example of fresher tires to the outside of the racetrack. You think the 2 the 57, they still have pretty good tires. Sure, not as good as on the outside of the racetrack for Josh Berry. So Josh Berry was in the lead for the last 20 some odd laps before he came down pit side. The 2 the 57 took over. I doubt that he's going to be able to make up an entire lap's worth of time. You're looking at a 29-second differential, Cam, that you have to make up in 22 seconds. I'm not sure that that's necessarily going to happen, but there's a couple of other guys who maybe pitted a little bit earlier that are getting the benefits from the tires much sooner. But you could also see something like this. You see that 01 of Tyler Hudson. He's in the middle of the 2 and the 57, and it looks like Sturgis, he'll try to use that lap traffic to get to the inside, battle for the race lead in turn 4. It'll be short-lived. Now Alfala hangs on, but that as well could be something that these guys have to keep an eye on. It's far from done. 20 laps to go next time by.
Well, 20 laps to go. That's exactly the point that I was looking to make, is Ray Alfala having to defend from PJ Sturgis. Well, I mean, even if you were down by 1 lap, I mean, that's it's about 30 seconds right off the tip there, as you can see where Josh Berry already is. He's about 1 corner ahead. He's just coming out of 4 right now, whereas Ray Alfala are just coming out of 3 going into 4, as Alfala and Sturgis working their way through. So Josh Berry, his lap times are fairly good. It's a 29.2 last time by Ray Alfella, already a 30. Even if you were doing 1 second a lap, and even if that stretches out to 2 seconds a lap, which we have seen in the later runnings here of where the tires go, even if you're at 2 seconds a lap, I mean, that's still too many laps as far as I'm concerned to work your way through the entire field. It's not necessarily just running your laps. You have to manage to actually get past all of the cars on the way there. And I'm not necessarily sure if Josh Berry could do that. I think he's setting himself up for a good finish, just not necessarily up in that front running position.
The 27 going to be the next driver to weave his way through. Thought about the inside, the two ducks to the inside, and he'll give bias the top side of the racetrack because Alfalla, last time Hudson went to the bottom, he saw the 57 almost slip through as well. So the two machine trying to balance being courteous to those lap machines, but as well kind of being selfish and saying, hey, I want the inside. Take the outside all you want. I'm not letting you open up a door for PJ Sturgis. Alan Bowes beginning to slide out of the conversation. Still in a great running position for the RAR Chevette Toyota, 2.3 seconds behind. He'll have to deal with Nicholas Johnston and Mitchell Hunt in P4 and 5. We wish to do battle with him here shortly, but I don't think he's going to be in a spot to really challenge your top two. But it is Alfalla and Sturgis step for step are dead even with each other. It's hard to tell. Is the 57 giving it 100% or is he sitting back and waiting?
And looking through this pack right now, you mentioned Ray Alfalla, PJ Sturgis. Yes, they're up in front. Alan Bowes has fallen back, you mentioned, to about 2.5 seconds behind that battle for the lead position. Nick Johnston being passed by Adam Gilliland, Ryan Lowe. You got the 34 on new tires. But I think the driver that might be able to get up here and possibly take a third-place finish if he plays his cards right is Mitchell Hunt. Hunt's quick here, and he's picking off some positions and picking off some time of these guys up in front of him. Question is, does he have enough in the tires? Does he save enough? And can he get up to Alan Bowes and possibly make a move? It's only about 2 seconds between himself and the 21, and the 21 continues to fall back into the clutches of the 90 and the 81. But your top two continue to pull away, and they're going to try to settle this, Evan, amongst themselves.
Here comes a run for the 57. Sturgis at a turn 4. Alfalla leaves the inside open. They'll go side by side at 17 laps to go on each other's door in the center of 1 and 2. The 2 machine hasn't had to really put up a defensive run all night long. He'll use the outside to power down the back straightaway. It could be the pass for the race win. Now down in turn number 3 they go. Sturgis on the inside, Alfalla on the outside, and let's toss some lap traffic in as well, because a much faster number 4 machine bringing up the rear as well. Timmy Hill is going to have to wait for these guys to sort this thing out, but it was Sturgis with the nose in front at the line.
Well, absolutely, Timmy Hill, though, those brand new tires working out very well on the outside, so he will clear. He will no longer be an issue, but Ray Alfalla still holding the outside line here. I think their tires are worn in well enough where it is possible for these cars to run side by side lap after lap here, which should be fairly exciting, though we do have Matt Busa and Ryan Lowe starting to close in on their new sets of rubber very relatively closely here as the lap times go by. That particular lap, 155, will go to PJ Sturgis, as we've got the 2 race winners of this season already fighting here perhaps for their second wins of the season. It's the Inex versus that Alfalla Tech car. As well, that's Ray Alfalla didn't necessarily get that one on the outside, though, Evan. I have a feeling, though, he might try to sneak that forward on the inside line.
It was 2 times across the start-finish line. They were side by side, but finally this time it is solely PJ Sturgis out in front of the field. He takes over the race lead at 12 laps to go. The 2 not going to back out of it, but on the outside, that had to be killing both of those guys. Just rubbing those tires down to the rim, trying to do it. And it looks like PJ Sturgis now in clean air, going to seek to become the first driver to take home 2 trips to victory lane on the season. But you see with plenty of lap traffic, Busa, Conti, the 30 machine just behind as well with Ryan Lowe. These guys are far from done with this race. 11 laps remain, but Sturgis grows the gap from 1/10 to 3.
You almost think the 2 car going side by side with the 57 may have abused his tires a little bit. Getting a great run through 1 and 2, though, as he's got the 5 and the 30 behind him. The 30 of Lowe goes to the outside. The 5 of Michael Conti Well, thought about doing the same down the back straightaway, but the two of Ray Alfalla definitely falling off a little bit off the 57. I was kind of thinking maybe he's conserving something. Maybe he's trying to get one last run up to the 57, but it doesn't look like he's making any inroads. The only roads that he's making is seeing that 57 drive off into the sunset. The 85 on the outside on new tires. The 5 coming up here as well. He's going to have to mount a charge. He's going to have to dig deep in these remaining 10 laps to try to get up to the NX number 57.
Inside of 10 laps to go, when you get to 5 or less, a caution would end the race. So if something's going to happen, gotta happen soon. And if something's going to happen for Ray Alfalla, it's got to happen sooner than later, because the gap continues to grow now, almost to a half a second, as PJ Sturgis wants to try to run away. And it would be the third consecutive time that you'll find these guys running 1-2 at the end of the race, and they'll probably remain 1-2 in the championship standings. Good battle as well inside of the top 10, inside the top 5. Logan Clampett in a good fight in the number 44 machine with the number 81 of Mitchell Hunt just behind in P6. Jake Sturgis not all that far in front of them with a little bit of damage. Alan Bowes there as well. A lot of spots inside the top 10. Still undecided. You got about 4 or 5 drivers within 1 or 2 seconds of each other, but the gap between the top 2 as they run well out in front of Nicholas Johnson, who's in P3, seems to almost be decided with.
Well, absolutely. I have a feeling his lapped cars are making a lot more changes than we were thinking here, as PJ Sturgis, he manages to always seem to get those lapped cars around him, which is a very strange statement to make, at better moments than where Ray Alfalla has been finding his way through these cars. Nicholas Johnson, though, on an island by himself. Alan Bowes, though, getting worked on by Jake Sturgis for position number 4. Jake Sturgis might look to the inside. That gets closed off in the second dog leg, and they will go into corner number 1. It's the Toyota Camry versus the Chevy. And ultimately, though, that SS possibly getting a good run, and he will stick to it. Jake Sturgis looking to go for position number 4 here as laps are winding down here at Texas Motor Speedway.
He wants the spot, he gets to the inside, and he'll get the spot. So put Alan Bowes back to P5. That may be short-lived as well, because the 21, his tires, not much left of those after he completed his final pits not much earlier than the guys that are running around him, so they have the tire advantage. Clampett wants to get a top 5 result at his first ever start, and he'll take P5 from the 21 that time on the inside in 1 and 2. Next driver up in that order is Taylor Hurst, the 74. He's not done with the 21 machine quite yet.
Taylor Hurst trying to go to the outside now, the number 21 of Alan Bowes, as they go side by side out of corner number 4. They got 5 laps to decide this, 5 laps to go right here for the 21-74. That battle for position number 6 heating up, and behind them, Brian Blackford has made the move on Mitchell Hunt. Hunt was quick earlier, but he's starting to fall off the pace a little bit, trying to hang on to at least a top 10 run here. And speaking about hanging on, Logan Clampett, as you mentioned, strong at the end of this race. You'd have to believe in his first series start, a top 5 would be like a win for that 44 team. I wonder what a 4th place finish would feel like, because he's tracking down Jake Sturgis, and Jake Sturgis, one of the faster cars all season long. Easier said than done, but the 44 might very well mount a charge here in these final couple laps on Jake Sturgis.
Yeah, and you get himself in a top 10 spot, and that's exactly the mentality of him. He's going to say, okay, I want a top 5. You get a top 5, why not stretch for a P4 or a P3? And he can see Jake Sturgis. He can taste him. Don't make a mistake. Don't force the issue. But he's going to be in a spot to battle at 3 laps to go. Blood in the water between the 41 and the 44. But that all going on well behind PJ Sturgis, who is now 1 second in front of Ray Alfalla. Sturgis looking to get back into victory lane since he was there just 2 weeks ago, 2 races ago, 4 weeks ago total, trying to put himself in Peak Antifreeze Series victory lane. And if he's able to do so, would not only be his 2nd time to victory lane, but it would give him a small advantage at the top of the championship standings, where he sat tied with Ray Alfalla into tonight. 2 laps to go.
Yeah, and I have a feeling there PJ Sturgis is going to be wanting every point he can get here when you can get it as this season drags on. I have a feeling we have a lot more fireworks left to go here as the rest of this race here. Everyone's seeming to work their way right on through. There's a battle for position number 11 right now, Andrew Fayesh and Kevin King, as they have worked their way up through the field, but looking right up front. That PJ Sturgis number 57 car looking like it's a solid lock-in right now as we close in on 2 to go.
This time by, we take the white flag and inside of the final 1.5 miles from the Texas Motor Speedway, Sturgis Alfala. The gap remains at 1 second, and I don't think it's going to be a factor. One piece of lap traffic in front, Adam Gilliland, the 8 machine, but Sturgis has the advantage, and he'll have the inside lane to take it home, no problem. He'll be the first driver in 2016 to go to victory lane more than once. Second career NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series win. PJ Sturgis, your victor at the Texas Motor Speedway. And to take that to Ray Alfala, who comes home P2. That's exactly how they'll sit in the championship through 5 races.
Battle for third was entertaining coming down to the stripe. Jake Sturgis and Logan Clampett had both caught Nick Johnston, but Nick Johnston kept them on the back porch to preserve position number 3. Sturgis and Clampett will have to settle for top 5 runs in 4th and 5th. Taylor Hirsch, Brian Blackford, Alan Bowes. Mitchell Hunt going to hang on to position number 9, and Kenny Humpy going to come home in position number 10. Top 10 run for the defending champion of the Peak 58.
And another strong showing for a lot of these guys, and a lot of the names that we expected to be up front were, but it has been, I think, a very exciting 2016 racing calendar, and as PJ Sturgis burns it down, along with the names that we expected up front that finished up front, Cam, there were a lot of heavy hitters in this championship that are going to come out of here with a headache.
Yeah, I was going to say, those cautions really came in at the most inopportune times you could possibly imagine, and ultimately that has shaken up the field. Jake Sturgis, I mean, he started in 27th, he came home in 4th. Taylor Hirsch started in 26th, he came home in 6th. Brian Blackford in 24th, he started back there. He in 24th, he's up to 7th. So, we talked about earlier about Andrew Fayesh and his qualifying. I mean, he started 39th. Well, once again, finished in 11th. He's right and knocking on the door of the top 10. So I have a feeling, though, just looking at the results as a whole there, Evan, it was a pretty good race to say the very least. A lot of cars all over the track.
The backwards burnout for PJ Sturgis. Let's take a look at your full race results. We talked about your top 10 finishers. Behind them, Fayesh at 11th. Kevin King comes home with a P12. 13th for Corey Vincent. Tyler Hudson in P14 and 15th would get to beat Josh Berry, with Nick Ottinger behind with 16th position. Nathan Wise coming home 17th. Your P3 qualifier, Cody Bias, rough results. He's good enough for 18th tonight. Casey Tucker improves for a P19, and Trey Edson will round out your top 20.
A lot of these drivers that are around here had that pit strategy not play out on them. Matt Busa finishes 21st, 22nd is Brad Mahar, Timmy Hill 23rd, Ryan Lowe, Blake Bryan and Adam Gilliland complete your lead lap cars. Nick Furler, first driver, 1 lap down. Dylan Jones, T-Loff going to come home in 29th and completing your top 30, the 11 of Brad Davies.
Alex Warren hanging out in the 31st position. Brandon Schmidt, he started in 18th. He's down to 32nd. Michael J. Johnson in 33rd. Justin Bolno, what could have been, he qualified in first. He will finish 1 lap down in 34th due to those pit lane cautions all coming out at the wrong time. So everything going wrong for that number 36 car today. Ryan Borges coming home in 35th. Shane Doherty in 36th. Chris Overland in 37th. Tyler Hill in 38th. Byron Daly in 39th. And Michael Conti in 40th.
And then these drivers had a whirlwind of problems tonight. They finished behind the fence. Dylan Duvall 41st, 42nd to Thomas Davis, and Patrick Crabtree could round out your field of 43. Shotgun on the field and 124 laps to the rear. So it's going to be the second time PJ Sturgis goes to NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series victory lane, and we'll talk with him as well as your top 5 finishers in a moment and get you set for round number 6 at Richmond International Raceway in 2 Tuesdays' time right here on Race Spot TV. We step away the post-race show from Texas Motor Speedway on the other side. You're watching the 2016 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing live on Race Spot TV, iRacing Live, the Motor Racing Network, and Fans Choice TV.
to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Welcome back to the Peak Antifreeze series powered by iRacing post-race show. Joy here bringing you all the interviews and post-race coverage we have here from Texas Motor Speedway. Well, of course, a great night for the Sturgis brothers, and especially Jake. Jake had a great night, but I think it's a bit better night for PJ Sturgis. PJ, victory lane for the second time this season for you. A great run and possibly the best car in the long run tonight.
Yeah, thanks, Rachel. Threw a few things at the last minute right before the race and seemed to have paid off. So, I mean, if you had told me I was going to win a race in a 1.5-mile race in the Peak Antifreeze series 4 years ago, I would have laughed in your face. So this is pretty unbelievable. Yeah, I know Ray was using an older version of the setup. And I told him, hey, try this one, but because it's better in the long run. And I'm glad he didn't, because it probably wouldn't have been so easy if he hadn't. But I'd like to thank all the guys at NX Racing, Slip Angle Motorsports, iAnalyze Racing, and V Racing for all their support, plus SimLab for all the support with the great sim racing products that they have available for everybody.
Certainly a great performance tonight, and some of those early cautions we expected really to see something after green flag stops, and we were proved right twice, of course. You, of course, one of the guys were going down pit road, and you were caught at one point, but easy fight back for you, or having to go on the fly, should we say, with strategy?
Yeah, I knew from the NIS races last week, I got bit by the caution every time I pit, so this time I tried to make sure that didn't happen, and luckily we were on the good side of that every time. So, the strategy, if you miss it in these races, it can completely mess your race up. So, thanks to Phil Diaz for being up on top of that tonight, up on the pit box. He kept me calm and made sure that we made all the right pit calls there. That was really good. So, thanks to him, and also to Jake for his little input in the strategy. And oddly enough, he ran a completely different setup than I did, and still was able to bring it home fourth. So, yeah, what a tough race, but good to come out with a win here and the points lead. But long season, and still a lot that can go wrong. So, got to keep pounding at it and keep working hard.
Well, for you, it's a season of firsts, so your first 1.5-mile win, and backed up tonight with a second. Well, we're going to have a chat now with the driver who came home second, of course, and I can imagine the post-race discussion amongst your team. Well, I was going to before someone moved him away, but yeah, I believe Cam is standing by with Ray Alfala, who might be getting I told you so about his setup tonight.
Yes. Hello, Mr. Ray Alfala here, and at Texas Motor Speedway, you seem to have a good setup that would run fairly well as time ticked on, but after a while, it just started to tick away. Tires so very important here. Entering the pit lane is so very important here, and ultimately, though, Ray, you came home in second position. It's right where you qualified. Not a bad day, to say the very least.
Yeah, good run for the Alfala Tech Ford. Thanks to everyone on NX and Slip Angle. We got caught off by we pitted and then the yellow came out, so we were, we had to restart from outside the top 10 and still made it up to second. And then I short pitted PJ by a lap, trying to get out ahead of him, and then we just had a slow pit stop. So if we would have just had a normal pit stop, we would have come out. it would have been a lot closer, I think, at the end because the stop was about a second slower than the average pit stop. So, and I ended up a second behind him. But I mean, I don't know. You can never say. I mean, PJ was really strong, and I think we put a good battle on. But we put up a good show, I think, for all the viewers.
Well, that's going next here. This is a mile and a half here that we've been at Texas. A little different. You've got your double dog leg up front. This new package, I have a feeling, I know we keep talking about it here, but it seemed to have a good show and a good showing. A lot of, as time went on, that outside line grew into it. Racing here at Texas worked fairly well, I have to say, at the very least.
Sorry, I can't even hear you. They're messaging down there, and I'm just missing your questions.
Well, just how did Texas race? How about that?
Well, it raced kind of similar to the past. The dynamic tracks makes it to where you can run the high side a little bit, but we we didn't really see much of a high lane here. And in the real world, it seems like they weren't really getting the top to work either. So Texas has always kind of been a bottom feeder track, and but we had a really, really close call. I don't know if you guys got it. After I pitted, I think Dylan Duval got really loose, hit the wall. Then I had to cut through the grass on the front stretch. That could have been a lot worse. So we'll take second.
Yeah, it's we saw quite a couple of crazy moments there. It seems to be happening a lot. It happened at Phoenix where everyone was all the lapped cars were blowing by the leaders. It was just a strangest thing. We saw it a lot here. We actually saw one moment where Jake Sturgios ended up going 4 wide with the 3 lapped cars. But for the most part, though, Ray, you managed to come home in second, as you said, after taking even just a little bit of a trip through the grass. It's never fun, but you managed to pull it out and come home in second. And so thank you very much for hopping into the booth here on RaceSpot and giving us a little chat here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. I just want to thank, again, everyone on both teams, Slip Angle and NX, and also Wendell Scott Foundation, Stamps X, and Snowcone Productions. Looking forward to Richmond. It's a really good battle for the points right now between teammates. So congrats to PJ again.
Yes, and congratulations to you. And I believe Evan Pizzotto is going to be standing by with Nick Johnson, who came home in the 3rd position in that number 90 car.
It was, and that was a exciting finish as well at the start-finish line. 5 some odd seconds behind the front, but Nick Johnston wins that battle, comes home tonight in the number 3rd spot in a good battle with Jake Sturgis, Nate. So, Nicholas, congratulations to you on that one. Same strategy as what we saw with the guys up front playing. 1 pit stop there in that final green flag run to the end. And you were able to store up there with those guys and walk away with a solid result after starting P12. Safe to say Texas was a successful evening for you guys.
Yeah, exactly, Evan. The SpeedRC.com Chevrolet was handling really well tonight. We worked a lot on the balance during the race. As the track grooves up, it changes the handling of the car completely. So we're constantly changing it. But I really felt that qualifying well tonight, which is the first time I've qualified inside the top 20 all season, is really what helped propel me up into the top 10. And then with Mike Smith on the box, making the calls, we had the right strategy. We were on the track when we needed to be and in the pits when we needed to be, and we ended up with a podium finish. So I'm very excited for that.
We did see a lot of yellows early, kind of throw a wrench into a little bit of the strategy, and it kind of messed some guys up that started top 10. But to that point that you made, it's something that we talked a lot about tonight, guys, qualifying better and trying to be able to maintain that running position through the night for you guys. Doing solid so far now through 5 races in 2016. You got a top 10 at a championship. Tonight, your first top 5, but you're exactly right. Your average starting position of 29th is the 2nd deepest in the field of everybody inside the top 10. The good qualifying effort for you guys, what did it make easier on you for the evening?
It made it easier picking the strategy we wanted to do and being in clean air later on in the run, because this field is so tight. We have the top 43 most talented oval racers in all of iRacing. So in the first 10-15 laps, everybody is so close, and it's so hard to make up any type a track position or make any passes. So just getting that extra jump on everyone and starting up towards the front is absolutely huge.
And you guys were able to carry it through to a successful run tonight. It was crazy out there, though, a lot with the tire differential guys who would come down to the pit lane, especially that long run. The longest run we saw all night long was the one that came all the way through to the checkered flag. How many close calls you get there? Because we saw a lot, 2, 3, 4 wide guys on fresher tires trying to get by guys that were battling for position. I'm sure they kept you on your toes.
Yeah, I had a few close calls myself. One was, I believe, the 36 of Justin Bolton, I believe, was pitting in front of me, and I didn't get the call. So I think I may have tagged him a little bit there. Apologies to him for that. And then we had one where I was on pit road when one of those early cautions came out, and I made the decision myself to just drive through pit road, and it ended up gaining me a few spots because I stayed on the lead lap and was able to pit. The guys who were on pit road with me had to take the wave around, so I ended up getting some track position there on them. But I mean, my spotter Mike was just on top of it tonight. I knew exactly where everyone was coming, how good the tires were behind me, and he kept me safe and kept me clean, and kept my head in it the whole night, and it was fantastic.
Obviously, you get next Tuesday off. Then we go back at it again at Richmond International Raceway. One spot shy of a top 10 back at Phoenix. Walked away with a P11. That has been the shortest track we've seen so far this year. We're going to go to the shortest track we'll have on the entire calendar in 2 weeks' time at Richmond. What are you guys expecting out of that one?
I expect Richmond to be a very good race for us. Josh, my teammate Josh Berry, has always been great there, so I know he'll be hard at work with all the boys to get the setup dialed in. I think we'll have a really good car there. I think for me personally to match this performance will be difficult, but I'm always willing to try. And now I got that little bit of confidence knowing that I can run with these guys. I may not be quite on the level as say PJ or Ray or even Jake, but I'm there. And I think if things fall my way, good things could happen.
Well, if things keep on progressing as they did tonight with your best finish on the season, there's a lot to look forward to with 11 races to go, Nicholas. Thanks for sticking around and chatting. Congrats again on the podium, and we will see you at Richmond.
Thank you. Real quick, I want to thank some people. SpeedRC.com for being on the car. They're a great bunch of guys. Really got to thank Joel from Joel Real Timing. He's gonna be on the car from here on out. Sponsored us with his program, and it was absolutely crucial to have this program running the race to know, and it gives you all sorts of information. For my spotter Mike to have that was another huge part of our performance tonight. Gotta thank Dustin and all the HPM boys, Ryan Luza, Daniel Roper, for running tons of laps for us. Jeremy Allen. I gotta thank everyone over at HPM for a great job, and congratulations. I'm glad I can bring you guys home a podium. Thanks, guys.
Congratulations again, and best of luck going forward in 2 weeks' time, and hopefully we'll talk with you then as well.
Cheers.
So that is tonight's third place finisher, Nicholas Johnson, and Jake Sturgis comes home P4. Tim, you're down trackside with our fourth place finisher.
And before we get into the battle at the end of the race, I have to ask Jake, you had Cam Walsh kind of caught off guard a little bit. 4 wide, lap cars, what went on there?
I'm not really sure. I was just trying to hold my line there. I saw 3 faster cars coming up on me, and I guess we were 4 wide, and someone hit the wall, and I ended up with some right front damage there. Could have been a lot worse, but that definitely hurt the car there. I had like 27 seconds of repair in the pit that I couldn't take. So I think it might have cost me P3, but it was close there at the end, and just glad to finish a race like that where go 4 wide like that.
Well, you almost had P3 at the end of this race because you ran down Nick Johnston for that third place position, but you also had Logan Clampett on your back bumper. Talk about that battle coming down to the stripe.
Well, I didn't think I had enough to catch Nick there at the end, but then one lap he just got real loose out of 4 into the tri-oval even, and he saved it, but he was slower after that, and I was able to get to his bumper. I just couldn't get quite good enough run off of turn 2 there to get a nose in for turn 3, and couldn't quite make it happen on the outside there on the last lap. But yeah, Clampett was close, so I knew if we battled too hard, he might have got both of us. So I kind of wanted to settle in for 4th and just not crash anyone.
First time we've seen this package in this series in the mile and a half. Are you happy with the way the race played out?
Yeah, it could have been a little better. I think I lost some time in the traffic there and a little bit on the pit entry. Uh, could have been worse for sure. It seems like we have less cautions now and less crashes, so it's more about who has the best strategy and uh, knows what to do with their pit stops and all that. So it's a lot better than riding under caution.
And in 2 weeks, we head to Richmond. And you mentioned cautions because we've had some races there that have gone green to checker without a yellow flag at Richmond. What do we expect when we take this car to the short tracks? Because I know you're a short track guy throughout New England.
Yeah, 200 laps of green would be great. If we get a caution around lap 50 or later, usually it just breeds more cautions and a lot of wrecks happen, especially going down in a turn one. Everyone's fighting for the bottom and lots of big wrecks happen. So hopefully it goes green the whole way. 200 laps of green would be great. Everyone wants to see that, but you never know.
And third place in points as well. Jake, thanks for joining us here on the post-race show, and congratulations on another great run.
All right, thanks, Tim. I want to thank my team, NX Racing, and the guys over at Slip Angle Motorsports and Optimum Performance Racing, and our sponsors, iAnalyze, and couldn't do it without all them. So thanks to all the guys for the hard work on the setup.
And that's Jake Sturgis coming home in position number 4. And Rachel, I believe you've caught up with a driver that's probably a little bit excited right now. First start in the series, top 5, it's Logan Clampett.
I certainly have, Tim. Thank you. Of course, Logan Clampett had a bumpy start to the season. This is his first round of the year. And what a way, Logan, to stamp your authority on the Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing than to come in, qualify P8, and come home with the top 5. You've got to be happy.
Yeah, it's pretty unreal that I just cannot believe I top 5 that race there, and just unbelievable setup and by the HPM guys and Dustin Lingert. So thank you to them for absolutely working hard to set up. I think I put around 700 laps into this week, so I think it was definitely worth it. And for my first race, I'll definitely take a 5th place there.
It was certainly a great result for you, of course. It's been a busy week. I know you've been running in the NASCAR iRacing Series, iRacing's premier NASCAR series that follows the full Sprint Cup schedule. Of course, any iRacing member can enter that, but you've been using it yourself as practice. Was the rollout of the race and the strategy that unfolded what you expected tonight?
Yeah, I believe I said that the 2-stop strategy, wasn't going to work. Actually, the guys up the box said that, and I agreed with them because we tried it during A Open and it just did not work. And I guess some people pitted there and kind of screwed themselves over. But I mean, it's whatever. Just a great strategy call for the 1-stop there towards the end.
Well, it certainly was, and a great result for you to come home tonight with your first top 5 of the season. Hopefully it's the first of many. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to?
Just thank you, Dustin Lingert and the HPM guys all over there. We worked hard on the setup again, and also thank you for Raul from coming over from Slip Angle to HPM and working really hard with us and racing really hard with us. Him and Kenneth Drake, they were up on the box for me, and they did such an awesome job. And Sim Racing Authority as well, and actually also a shout out to Chris Sosowski to getting me on to iRacing, and all my supporters. Just I couldn't have finished here without all my supporters in the chats, and it's just amazing to have a top 5 there.
Certainly was, and thanks for joining us, Logan Clampett. Of course, hopefully seeing you in 2 weeks' time at Richmond, doing something similar.
Thank you, Rachel.
What an exciting night we've had, of course, tonight at Texas Motor Speedway. To say everything is bigger in Texas, and it certainly was tonight. Incredibly awesome racing. We saw some drama, and some perhaps predictable events unfolding, shall we say. But eventful race we've enjoyed, guys. The racing was close. The slow downforce package really starting to come into its own now. The teams are really beginning to understand this and build the car around it. We're seeing the racing change a lot more. We're seeing more focus on making a car that goes longer, Evan, and this is something perhaps that will only benefit the series.
We're not seeing a lot of guys take two tires at the end either and cause a big pileup. I'm loving the strategy that we've seen so far this season. We've seen races that have a fair amount of yellows, but overall, I think those are down by the numbers, from seasons past. And I think that strategy element does well, but they're just racing hard. I mean, Ray Alfala there and PJ Sturgis stayed glued on each other's door for 2.5 laps. That's PJ Sturgis going for his second career win in just the last 3 weeks, and up against the guy that's got 18, and they went at it nose to nose, and the 57 came out on top. So I'm loving it, and Richmond's going to be a test, though. I know in 2 weeks' time it'll be exciting, and I can't wait to get there.
Certainly is. And Tim, of course, we've had 5 separate winners at Texas. Well, we changed that. We chalked that up to 6 tonight. Do we think we're going to see a new winner happening in Richmond? Of course, very different track to anything we've been to this season.
I think we very well could. I look back to the Pro Series a couple of years ago. Adam Gilliland won a caution-free race there. Andrew Fash, the third last year, won a very close race there. I think we could very well see maybe not a new winner, but a winner that maybe we haven't seen in Victory Lane in a while. And Adam Gilliland and Andrew Fayash come to mind for Richmond. But that is a racetrack where you might not think, hey, we can go green to checkered without a caution, but we've done it before. It's going to be a very interesting short track race, but on the other side of it, too, I think you're going to see the Sturgis brothers. You're going to see Ray Alfala. You're going to see those guys up near the front of the field at the end of the race. I think we're going to see a status quo with those guys that are up front in the point standings, but I think we're probably going to see somebody else throw their name in the hat to possibly win their first NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series race. You never know. These races have played out differently through the first 5 rounds. We'll see what round 6 holds.
Certainly will. And Cam, before we go, Chris Overland, he's looked incredibly strong this season. Not a great night out here today in Texas. Of course, penalties catching him out. When are we going to see Christopher Overland head to Victory Lane?
Well, I'm not necessarily sure if it'll be at Richmond. A horrible race here at Texas. I mean, he started in 30th for sure, but he started well off from the pits, I believe, if I remember correctly, and then he got a penalty right off the bat of that, and that just put him down. It set him up all race long, as well as him and Michael Conti also had a pretty terrible race. So I'm not necessarily sure. Perhaps he could try and get himself up to a top 10 at some point, maybe at Richmond. We've seen a different race pretty much every single race that we've had this season so far. Richmond, I'm sure, will be no surprise. But I have to say, though, you have some people who have been doing abysmal qualifying, but they finished great. Andrew Fayash immediately comes to mind. He started in 39th, almost 40th position. He comes home in 11th. I mean, you could only imagine where he would have gone if he qualified up front. But it's an interesting thing here where we keep seeing race after race after race. People who have poor qualifying run well. So finally, I will get to the point here where I'll simply say if one of these guys qualifies well, perhaps here at Richmond, I wouldn't be surprised to see them running up front.
Then he could be, and wow, after his results at Phoenix, I think we can expect Chris Overland to be very strong next week. Oh, sorry, 2 weeks' time even, at Richmond International Raceway. Well, we're going to pass things over to Evan Basoko to wrap things up for tonight, but, well, it's been an awesome evening of racing here on Racebot TV, iRacing Live, Motor Racing Network, and Fans Choice TV. Evan, you can do the usuals.
Well, I'll tell you what, 5 races down on this 2016 campaign of 16 races. There's plenty more to come, but if you've liked what you've been seeing so far, RaceSpot TV going to bring you all the way through the 2016 championship. But until next time, week number 5 is in the books. We want to thank you all for watching this presentation of RaceSpot TV, streaming live on iRacing Live, FansChoice.tv, and the Motor Racing Network. For more information on the iRacing World Championship Series, please visit wcs.iracing.com. On behalf of everybody at Race Spot TV, for Hugo Louise, Will Vincent, everybody else behind the scenes, and for the broadcast team tonight, for Rachel White, for Tim Terry, and Cam Walsh, my name is Evan Pasoko, congratulated now a two-time NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series winner, PJ Sturgis, as the winner this evening from the Great American Speedway. We hope to see you all next week right here for iRacing's NASCAR Race Night on Race Spot TV and iRacing Live, and then the following Tuesday on the 26th for Round 6 on the 2016 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing season from the capital of the South at Richmond International Raceway. And that race, and every race, going to be right here on Race Spot TV. Until then, good night.